And we are live. Hello, hello, everybody. Hello. I want to try to get stats, I believe it is. Show. There are stats up in places. Seen. Just a little bit. Right. Sorry, y'all. I should have had that working. Okay. Sorry about that. How's everybody doing tonight? I got the HD camera hooked up. I should have the HD camera hooked up as the main camera, so that way we can see better. Got Alice acting a fool at my side, and have started to, well, I had gotten out the shower, so it's a little cool. It's a little cold, and I decided to show off the jacket I've been working on. Basically attaching a furred vest to it. Now it's faux fur, so it's nice, and it's ethically sourced. It's also very warm, and I might be unbuttoning it as we go. But the silly goose noises you hear are Alice, who is currently trying to hide from the camera for some reason. Hi, Alice. Would you like to say hi to everybody? She's the reason I'm learning how to sew, because she has a real knack for eating clothing. Why don't you say hi to everybody, girl? I'm choking on my own hair. Come on. Come on. Please do not slap me with your giant freakish paw. She is Black Lab and Great Pyrenees. I think I've been over this with my dear friends before. You gonna come up here and say hi? Again, sorry, y'all. Let me see what I can do about getting that other camera going. You're a good girl. And I'll call this host 2. Okay. And this one we will make into the general webcam. See if that works. Oh, that looked like it worked. Oh, it's dark. Alright, let's see if we can fix that brightness on that. Crank it up just a little bit. Looks like Mako's coming to join us. You gonna be nice and let Mako come join us, I trust, my dear. Oh my god, my forehead is wrinkly. I have aged so. That cannot be the main thing. Let's try contrast. Okay, contrast is doing better. Oop. Yep, that's the camera. Sorry to poke y'all like that. I am trying not to be impolite. I just also don't want to look like a creature of the darkness. Let's crank the brightness a bit more so we can do without blushing myself out too much. It's got a sort of warm hue to it, you know? Not complaining, just confused. Either way, just gonna run with it. Okay. Don't cancel. Okay. And host 2, gonna go ahead and turn off host 1. That is very dark. I guess it's not as dark when I get over here in the light. Yeah, I need to put buttons on the best bit of it too. My end plan is to not need to put buttons on it because I'm hoping to basically sew this on in such a way that this pocket becomes accessible through here and basically connect it as fur. But like I said, I got this from the thrift store, so I'm taking away from fast fashion waste, and I'm quite proud to be doing it. I just hope to one day have clothes that look as good as store-bought without having to go buy store-bought. You gonna get up to where a camera can see you? Let's see if I can grab the camera and just let y'all see her right quick. It's just Up we go. That's Alice. Boy, this is disorienting. That's our Alice girl. That's my leg. That's my hip. How am I so bad? That's my nose and hair. There's an Alice head. There's an Alice girl. Yeah, she's a sweet little schmuckums. She's a silly girl, is what she is. Alright, we're gonna go back to host 1, cut host 2 for the moment. Just till we can. Oh, good. Well, that one's nice and frozen up for us. Cuckoo, cuckoo. I don't know how to refresh that. So, we will just wait for that for a minute. Probably disconnect that one. And get host 2 back up and running. Okay, host 2 is back. It's just once again dark. There we go. Gucci, Gucci. Okay. Yay, host 2 works. Go ahead and get rid of host 1. Just that way it's less that the stream's having to pull. Sorry to have y'all behind the curtain like this. I try to have a certain degree of work on this, making it right. That's tweak it just a teeny bit. Just a teeny bit. Just a teeny bit. Just a teeny bit. Gotta remember I can adjust multiple layers to this thing. Yeah, I think that one worked. Okay. Okay. Let's get rid of oh, that one we're leaving up. That one we're leaving up. Okay. For this one, we're going to go ahead and make it a little bit translucent so that yeah, ghost in the machine again. I look like I have glasses on my screen, and I wonder if it's the same on y'all's. Either way, hope y'all are having a good day. It's been a pretty good day on my end, and we got a good bit of cleaning done. And the electricity's been finicky today, so if the stream suddenly goes down, expect that we will be having some, I don't know, Star Trek play later. Maybe I'll get a video uploaded. I don't know, because I got a battery, but if power goes out, we're going to lose the stream just because the connection's going to go down. But either way, with the status bar up, if stuff starts to go bad, I should be able to see when it starts to go bad. Sadly, still won't have chats too much, but I will check in periodically in between stops. Alright, y'all. And I do understand if people just come back to watch these in the future. I do completely understand that side of it too, because I am trying to be a good host. I'm still not a good host yet. But alright, y'all. I got my stuff. Let's go ahead and launch this and see where we can go. I'm going to just hide my host camera while we go to once again save on some of the frame rates and such and see what we can do there. Alright, y'all. I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll be back in a bit to check in on chat. Thank you. And once we get to where we're going on Twitch on this, once I can figure out how to do it on the computer, we might start streaming to both again. That way I can give fair chat to folks. Because again, and I don't know if Twitch like trademarked it or what, but Twitch chat I can access from my phone, which is very useful when it comes to like hosting a stream. But let's go ahead and run the contracts. And after we run those contracts, like it said in the description, I will try to knock out quite a few of the viewpoints to get some more stuff undone. And then we'll do some raiding and pillaging. So hopefully we'll be able to upgrade the village a bit more.
anti-Israel sentiment that is coming from anti-Semites. You would defend them if they were pro-Israel and still anti-Semitic. That's the fucked up part. This video is sponsored by Valessa. First off, Valessa and I are giving away free vibrators, literally free vibrators, or gift cards for.
Okay, I remember this crash game last time we did it.
Giveaway in the description below, so check that out. Don't miss out on this. The link is in the description. And for those of you who don't already know, Valessa is a fine women company for all things.
Question is, did I already take out the target, or do I find the target?
And explore their sexuality. And I couldn't think of a better way to do it because they're giving them away for free. This is the Lux Swan. This one might be a little familiar, but trust me, Valessa's design is actually really
I already took out this target. It's just the game crashed before I could confirm the kill.
This thing's probably got everything you need. It's rechargeable, it's splash proof, the materials they use are great. I mean, that sounds like a home run to me. Whether you're unwinding or alone with a partner, you can get a great experience out of this one.
Target is to kill them all, I suppose. Make sure the proper quest is selected here.
It's waterproof and rechargeable and made from body safe. So
Yeah,
that's
might
something
already
I really appreciate about Valessa is all their products are made with really high quality material, and you can tell. The remote for the key vibe is why they call it that. It looks like a car key, so it's completely discreet. It doesn't make a sound.
I'm guessing we already killed them.
Valessa's most advanced blowjob simulator yet.
Huh.
I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. But like I said, Valessa is for everyone, so there's definitely something out there for you.
In that case,
it rotates, it thrusts, it swirls, and it vibrates. And like the other parts, it's also rechargeable and splash proof, and it's easy to clean. So if you want a free vibrator or a gift card for a vibrator, go to the link in the description. Everyone who signs up for the giveaway is getting something. So have fun with Valessa. And thank you so much to Valessa for sponsoring this video.
Might
It
hit
helps the
one
channel
bread.
a lot. And again, if you're interested in supporting the channel,
That's one
go to
bread,
the
one
description.
orange.
Check it out. Enjoy yourself. Now let's get back to the video. He took a stand in a video titled Tucker Carlson Sabotages America. And he and Tucker Carlson sort of went back and forth. Nick Fuentes did too. And we're gonna see a little
Off to a
bit of
great
the
start.
girlies are fighting. All the girlies are Nazis. They're just arguing over which style, which font of Nazi.
Hey folks, I want to do something different on today's show. So we're going to cover one topic in depth. That topic is, I think, the most important thing happening in the country. It was a hot topic last week, but I wanted to take some time to gather my thoughts and speak on it in coherent fashion, holistic fashion. That topic is the fragmentation of the political right. That fragmentation is being caused purposefully by a splinter faction led by a young man named Nick Fuentes. They call themselves the Reuters. They are white supremacists, hate women, Jews, Hindus, many types of Christians, brown people, a wide variety of backgrounds.
What do you mean brown people then? You hate brown people of a wide variety of backgrounds on the basis of them being brown too. You're mostly describing yourself with like very few exceptions. It's pretty crazy. Like you don't hate certain types of Christians, but what Christians does Nick Fuentes hate? The brown ones? You hate those too, motherfucker.
Hate women, Jews, Hindus, many types of Christians, brown people of a wide variety of backgrounds, blacks, America's foreign policy, and America's Constitution.
Dude, you just described black people
true,
in one word that is very dehumanizing, let's be fair. And you're like, how dare the Reuters be racist against them? Oh, the guy who hired Candace Owens to do George Floyd's slander professionally is calling out anti-black racism.
Admire Hitler and Stalin.
Just because Tucker Carlson went to a Russian grocery store doesn't mean he admires Stalin.
I like his road.
Facilitated and normalized within the mainstream Republican Party.
Yeah, guys, you won't get guys. No, you have to understand. I'm on the right side because they're communists. They're anti-Semitic communists.
Off of Wanderer.
Who is an intellectual coward, dishonest interlocutor, and a terrible friend.
Drama. He's not invited to my birthday party anymore. I'm mad at him. He's canceled on the basis of
Plan is quite simple. Slip in, murder as many as we can without getting the disturbance, and then move from there.
Dude, have you ever heard of like anyone in the Republican Party? Do you know who Ron DeSantis is? One of Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign staffers made a fucking Black Sun edit of Ron DeSantis, and that was Ben Shapiro's #1 guy in the 2024 Republican primary, or 23, or whatever the fuck. Fuck you, man. You don't give a shit about Nazism. That is such bullshit. I knew this video would get me mad. That's why I waited so long to even talk about it. I'm mad.
Now, before we explain what's been happening, let's make one thing clear. This is not about free speech or cancellation. It's never about free speech or cancellation.
You can't tell if they're working or hiding from
I
me.
think are wrong. Like, that is it, though. He's right on the anti-Semitism stuff on, like, a faulty principle. He wants to just do a regular, like, right-wing cancellation. Like every other actual cancellation.
Okay, so we're decent ways off of it. We can do our fun time.
Problem of these people existing in the conservative sphere.
Criticism of bad speech is, in fact, just a form of free speech. Cancellation also has a definition. The banning of particular
We can have our fun.
Platforms like X.
Unless we die doing it.
Okay, getting banned from Twitter is being canceled. Yeah.
I believe that Nick Fuentes is odious and despicable, but I've never called for his cancellation. And in fact, I've called for his restoration to those services, despite the fact that I think he's odious and despicable.
So you did this, man. Congratulations. This is the natural conclusion of your stupid, hyper-conservative
You'll try.
where you have tolerance for everything at the limit of liberalism, really. As long as you don't use the right pronouns for someone who wants to be fucking non-binary or identifies as transgender, any amount of anti-Semitic bullshit and fucking Nazism is totally fine to you. You justify it, and you fucking defend a Nazi like Nick Fuentes from being banned on a platform like Twitter. This is his bed. You did this. You built this conservative movement in part. Like, the Daily Wire had a huge influence on where fucking young conservative people are right now. Like, many Nick Fuentes fans probably grew up watching Daily Wire content or still watch Matt Walsh. You did this.
It is not cancellation. Draw moral lines.
And yeah, it is cancellation because it's fucking all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, oh, these guys have to go away because I don't like them now. They have to be gone. Please stop watching them. I'm scared of you watching them.
Dear boys, in fact, we used to call that one of the key aspects of conservatism. It is not cancellation to refuse single boost.
Boy, howdy, I need you. Really should have thought this through before.
You defended him from getting banned. You thought he shouldn't be banned from social media. This is you. You did this.
To criticize Tucker
Damn it.
Carlson for rhetorically fluffing Nick Fuentes and other anti-American crackpots.
I don't know about just rhetorically. Come on. You know anything about Nick Fuentes, it was probably more like orally than rhetorically.
And anyone who says differently is lying to you, and lying for the most cynical reasons. Misdirect from their own defense of those Nazi apologists and their promoters. The issue here isn't that Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes on his show last week. He has every right to do that, of course. The issue here is that Tucker Carlson decided to normalize and club Nick Fuentes, and that the Heritage Foundation then decided to robustly defend that performance.
That was a very significant development, and I do have an update on that because there was the leader of the Heritage Foundation, like the author of Project 2025, was making fun
Oh, I'm about out of places to back up to, and now the game's starting to say it too.
This is the obvious future of the conservative movement. Are you crazy? Of course we're going to be Nazis now. And then he resigned for that, which is pretty fun.
So, for those who don't understand what's going on, let's begin with Nick Fuentes. Now, as I mentioned, last week, Tucker Carlson...
And we're down. That one's on us, though. That one's totally on us. We're going to try that again, this time with less of the shenanigans and more of the stealth.
Increased media attention over the course of the past few years, especially over the last year. Now, from Tucker Carlson's interview, you might have gathered that Fuentes has some borderline views on race.
Or possibly more shenanigans, but first I need to find a healing factor, because that went badly. Mostly because I don't think there's a way to parry with this big sword.
You think that if you watched the interview, because Tucker Carlson decided that it was important not only to host Fuentes, but to smooth over his views, water them down, and make them far more palatable to a normal audience.
So obviously this is true. Tucker Carlson is laundering Nick Fuentes' reputation. But Ben Shapiro choosing to point this out and choosing to cover Tucker Carlson's interviewing and like his conduct is probably his weakest maneuver here. This is embarrassing to try to like police exactly how you should have spoken to him, rather than just saying this should be off limits if you're even going to say that. Just from his move, I'm doing the 3D chess because he can't do it. He's not. His company is going bankrupt.
This is what Tucker Carlson does for a living. But back to Nick Fuentes. To understand just what Tucker did here, we must actually examine what Nick Fuentes says on the show, and has said for almost a decade, because he was asked precisely 0 questions about any of what you're about to see by Tucker Carlson. Nick Fuentes says women want to be raped.
A lot of women want to be raped. And when I say raped, I mean like that sounds bad.
Is that key
But there's like a
underground?
lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them. But also they have to pretend. But part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
Nick Fuentes said,
Yeah, Nick Fuentes is an irredeemable Nazi cockroach piece of shit. So get ready for more of those quotes. That Ben Shapiro is going to somehow pearl clutch on. How does Ben Shapiro disagree with this? Matt Walsh probably said something pretty borderline, much like that. Actually, like this is you can't act surprised. You voted for a president that said you can do whatever you want with women when you're famous. Grab them by the pussy. You voted for that guy, and now you're like, whoa, there's rapists here. What the hell?
that his followers should kill, rape, and die in his name.
Raise your right hand. All right, everybody, raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I will kill, rape, and die for Nicholas J. Fuentes. I mean, this is why I never talk about this booger-eating little freak. Because he's an insane person and has an insane audience of insane people that are all fucking monsters. And Tucker Carlson did signal boost this, which is fucking crazy. But again, for Ben Shapiro to throw clutch from his position is ridiculous. He has no room to criticize this rhetoric because this is what his rhetoric spawns. This is the next step, the natural next step, logically, toward conservative logic from Ben Shapiro. They don't get more progressive as they get more conservative. Whatever. Like, they don't suddenly go, oh, we need Medicare for all after listening to Ben Shapiro for fucking 10 years or something. That doesn't happen.
Fuentes says that women are whores who shouldn't be in politics.
And again, he's admitting his own fault here because Ben Shapiro
Andre is not marketing. I can't hit. So.
He's defended his right for free speech. So you look like a fucking hypocrite, Ben. I will continue my crusade against women in politics. Because it's always like this, and it's so ironic. Women are like, I don't like, when you say, I like, this motherfucker already had dinner at the White House. What did Ben Shapiro have to say about that? Donald J. Trump had fucking dinner with this guy. What was Ben Shapiro's reaction? He's more mad about Tucker Carlson interviewing. When you say to repeal the 19th Amendment, that offends me. That hurts my feelings. It's like, have you ever stopped and considered that maybe if you get offended, there's such a strong emotional reaction to political opinions you disagree with across the board? Maybe that's one of the reasons why you shouldn't be making political decisions. I'm not literally saying like women are too emotional, facts don't care about your feelings. How is this not the next evolution of the things that Ben Shapiro said? This is like Charlie Kirk shit.
I like that he literally growled.
Says that Jim Crow was actually better for black people.
It's great that he just keeps going. First of all, there's no way someone at Daily Wire hasn't said this exact same thing in different words. Ben Shapiro's probably written that exact fucking sentiment in a book before. That's ridiculous for him to fucking say this on his high horse that that's so beyond the pale of what he thinks is acceptable. That's ridiculous. He says that shit every fucking day. Yeah, Charlie Kirk said that. Charlie Kirk did say that. What the fuck? He literally said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. Candace said that too. That's their fucking go-to. They're not even creative. God damn it. It was better for them too. Number one, but number two, who cares? Who cares? You know, enough with the Jim Crow stuff. Who cares? Man, drink out of a different water fountain. Big fucking deal. Oh no, they had to go to a different school. Their water fountain in that famous picture was worse. This is how you know that like his entire political radicalization comes from scrolling like Reddit. He sees like a post on r/all that showed what segregation looked like, and that's in his head all it is. Fucking moron. Who cares? Grow up. Drink out of the fucking water fountain. It's water. It's the same. You know? And it wasn't though. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know anything. There's literally so little differentiating these two people from the position of a sane and well-adjusted human being. Seriously. Even like liberal wine moms will be like, what's the difference between these fucking believers?
For the moment, children, you should go inside.
Because there just needs to be some shame here. Well, there's a few reasons. First, white people are every single bit justified in being racist.
Ben has definitely said this on a college campus before. Charlie Kirk has probably also said this.
And that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
Dude, Charlie Kirk said that about pilots. Charlie Kirk said that about pilots. He said, if I have a black pilot, I'm going, boy, I hope he's qualified. That's the same thing.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, you know, time to grow up. We're not...
Like, how many people in Ben Shapiro's audience of 7 million subscribers think this exact same thing? Or don't disagree with this at all? I promise you it's more than you think. This is so bad. Yeah. But like I said, this is the conservative movement. This is right-wing politics. This is everything Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Steven Crowder, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, everyone I've talked about for years has worked towards normalizing. All of them have participated in creating this. And Ben Shapiro suddenly turns around and goes, what the hell, man? He's saying stuff about stuff I care about. He's bigoted against shit that I want and believe. Oh, shit, dude. I'm so sorry. Is it hard to be targeted by a fucking Nazi? Oh, my God, man.
It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 days.
You're a fucking Holocaust denial, man, which is fucking insane. Like, this shit should not be allowed on any platform, but here's the thing with that. Ben Shapiro disagrees with me there. Ben Shapiro disagrees. He thinks
there's
totally
more
allowed.
stuff that I needed.
Tucker Carlson shouldn't be the one platforming it.
And once again, remember who is responsible for it all. The Jews. They are responsible for every war in the world. It's not even debatable.
He is actually a nitwit. He is a stupid person. He has the mind of a fucking fool. He is a actual dumb person that cannot rationalize the real world and jumps to childish, idiotic conclusions. This is, again, everything the conservative movement has built toward. Like, the only difference between him and your average conservative
Oh,
for the Daily Wire or Fox News, for that matter, is they just don't say truth. He does, they don't. They're both fucking wrong. They're both bigots. They're both Nazis, but they just blame more specific or less specific groups of people. And it's no different from how Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh talks about fucking immigrants or Muslims. If they had some principle, like leftists do, of non-dehumanization, then Ben Shapiro would have an argument here, but he doesn't, because that's non-existent in the conservative movement. They thrive on dehumanization.
They are evil doers. They are people who worship false gods. They are people that practice magic or rituals or whatever. And more than
Dude, he's so stupid. He's so fucking stupid. Imagine this guy actually posing a legitimate ideological threat in your movement. Oh my god, you have built a movement of fucking morons. You have magic people at the top of society doing spells on the population. That's why we have inflation. That's why your rent is too high.
And there's no doubt that Nick Fuentes has a lot of play these days. That's because the left, by moving into a politics of
Trump invited him over for dinner with Kanye West. That's why.
anti-white,
That's why. Elon Musk bought Twitter and unbanned him. That's why. Not because of the left, you stupid fucking idiot. It's because you platformed Candace Owens and Matt Walsh, and they have normalized a fuck ton of anti-Semitism that you have justified and defended because they liked Israel at the time.
anti-male identitarianism created its bizarro mirror image, a white pseudo-Christian incel identitarian movement dedicated to destroying the institutions of this country and replacing Americanism with something else. Nick Fuentes' philosophy is not to reform. It's an incoherent malignity.
As if he's not building off of your foundation.
You put in a tiny little spear, and you get it back when you put the card back.
Sit down.
Because that happens in all people.
So we were guessing what this would cost. Everybody here from the United States.
Let's follow the path and see what comes of it.
We would actually eat over a week. And we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought. Corruption. If you take people's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's
funny that I guess Ben Shapiro doesn't understand that this is supposed to be like anti-woke and anti-cancel culture. It doesn't matter if you use the right pronouns or are a good person or whatever the fuck that means. Like he's talking about like performative wokeness for corporations and blaming that for high prices.
When Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin, by the way, Vladimir Putin was so amused by Tucker Carlson's easy questioning that he actually mocked him.
Yeah, it's dark, but I get it.
Admitted to not asking any difficult questions of the president of that dictatorship. The interview is limited by a couple of factors. One, it was done by remote through a translator. That's always awkward. For another, I don't speak Persian. And there are all kinds of questions that I didn't ask the president of Iran, particularly questions to which I knew I could not get an honest answer, such as, was your nuclear program totally disabled by the
Reminder to all sentries, wear Dane uniforms at all times. No personal items or clothing may be visible. Dane accent is recommended but not required. Ask Sigward for tips if needed. Any approaching ships or taverns must be reported immediately. Avoiding alarms or loud shouting. Do not attempt to sail the longship again. And I'm guessing this is the leader.
So red pill content. Region, in the same countries. And that is again what Matt Walsh says every single day. It's basically will just make us, as individuals who are quote unquote independent from
Oh, Edward.
Yet it will just make our societies vulnerable and easy to be penetrated. That's right.
Tucker Carlson praises Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro, even as Maduro keeps the entire country in communist penury.
American politics is so fucked up.
And ships of fentanyl into the United States to kill Americans by the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, okay. So I guess he's dying on that hill. That's just
Well, that looks like a new fun toy.
Yeah, Tucker likes Maduro because gay marriage isn't legal in Venezuela.
So if you ask someone on the street, random person, why are we against Nicolas Maduro? The answer you're going to get is, who's Nicolas Maduro? But if you find someone in South Florida, for example, who knows who Nicolas Maduro is, who can identify where Venezuela is on a map, that person will almost certainly say, well, because he's a communist or a socialist. He's exceedingly left-wing, and that is true.
I really like her voice.
Very left-wing on economics. Not on social policy, by the way, which is kind of interesting. In Venezuela, gay marriage is banned, abortion is banned, sex changes for transgenderism are banned.
For transgenderism.
It's one of the very few countries in the entire hemisphere with those policies. It is on social policy, not defending the regime.
Yeah, it's a Catholic country. That's why. It's Catholicism.
Appreciate it.
Again, what is Ben Shapiro's issue with any of that? What?
The genocidal jihadi group behind October 7th. It's a political organization. You can't claim it there and Hamas will simultaneously claim it.
Hear me a moment before you talk about what we gotta do next, because I really want to either upgrade, run it out, or get ready for the next trip. Not upgrade. Can I run it?
Hamas is a political organization in the same way that Hezbollah is. What is this, dude? This video is so bad. Why is Ben Shapiro making like a hit piece, fake ass fucking drama slop, like fucking takedown video?
Suck at
This is
speed
terrible.
run.
Like my haters make videos this bad.
And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government.
Oh, I can't downgrade in the field, can I?
Somehow cowed into thinking that that's
the turning point of it. I mean, come on. Are you besmirching Charlie Kirk's name right now? Fucking freak out.
Tucker Carlson also said in his interview with Nick Fuentes that the people he hates most in the entire world, more than ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Trans-Tifa, Marxists, rapists, murderers, are Christian Zionists.
Trans-Tifa? I'm sorry, what?
According to Tucker Carlson, who admits that he first read the Bible all the way through just 2 years ago. Christians
He's never even read the Bible all the way through a couple years ago, so I guess he did, which is also a hilarious thing to claim.
Are heretics.
It's not like a regular book.
Blasphemers. A brain virus.
Brain virus.
Then again, it is full.
So it's okay to call trans being transgender a mind virus when Elon does it. But if you call Zionism a brain virus, then oh fuck, dude. You better not. You gotta make up some rules, man. You gotta have rules.
Tucker Carlson has said that he despises American Jews who care about October 7th. We, in his words, don't care about America and also want to get his kids killed in a foreign war. You know, I've got 4 draft-age children. So if you're playing recklessly fast and loose with their lives, then I have a right to despise
I
you.
like the ads, but I
So
just
if you're
nah.
Nikki Haley's running for president, or Ben Shapiro, or half the people I see on
Doppelhandler,
television, it sounds like he's a bad friend.
Doppelhander's
Actually
better.
mentioning the possibility of nuclear war or sending Americans to
Or
fight
Beowulf
the
with
Middle
a
East,
short
or in
sword
any
by a
way
fine
involving
on road.
a war that has nothing to do with prosperity and peace at home, nothing in other words to do with us Americans, then I have a right to call you out and be really offended because it's my family. They live here. It's not a joke to me. There's nothing abstract about it.
It's so performative, man. You don't give a shit.
He's buying back just enough of it to appear as though he's not saying what he's clearly saying. He's a master of gaslighting. Carlson, for example, would never say out loud what Nick Fuentes does. He wouldn't say the things many of his guests say. And so instead,
that's what Joe Rogan does too, and you and Matt Walsh. You all do this. Literally what Joe Rogan did to Ben Shapiro, by the way.
So, for example, I'll ask a series of wildly obsequious questions to Nick Fuentes. He'll even let Nick Fuentes support for Joseph Stalin slide. It's actually funny. It's December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me. Learned. It's Joseph Stalin's birthday. I'm a fan. You're a fan of Stalin's. I was an admirer. But we don't need to go into that.
Yeah, this is again because Nick Fuentes is first and foremost a Reddit history nerd. Like someone who consumes all of their history and political content through Reddit. So he's seen a couple of Stalin laser eye memes and thinks he's kind of cool and base.
Tucker Carlson will have on Vladimir Putin's evil anti-American mouthpiece,
No,
Alexander Dugin.
should be easy enough to kill him, man.
Alexander Dugin is a 62-year-old Russian academic philosopher.
Ow, ow, okay. Jesus. How do you manage to put weight in your ass, boy? Sorry, y'all. My pup Shifu wanted up, and when I went to pick him up, he just badonked his ass. About threw my back out again.
And Ben Shapiro is kind of one of the main people, again, to promote that reflex in conservatives. That if someone is controversial,
You know, I got a map.
you know,
I
repeatedly
got a map. Just point me to the camp unless you don't want me to murder. Ooh, arrow. Okay, this tower was worth it. What we're doing, nice lady.
Banning books in the United States because the ideas inside are too dangerous. It is often described again in the English language press as far right. We'll let you assess, but we wanted to talk to you.
This is literally the same thing every conservative does. We'll let you decide.
Tucker Carlson will have on a Hitler-friendly pseudo-historian to minimize the Holocaust and blame Winston Churchill for World War II. And he will call him America's best and most honest historian. I thought Churchill was the chief villain of the Second World War. And he didn't kill the most people. He didn't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this guy's a Nazi Holocaust denier too.
Atrocities. But I believe, and I don't really think, I think when you really get into it and tell the story right and don't leave anything out, he seems was primarily responsible for that war becoming what it did. Becoming something other than.
Yeah, not Hitler. Hitler was the small bean. He couldn't do anything wrong.
The invasion of Poland. You know, Germany, look, they put themselves into a position, and Adolf Hitler is chiefly responsible for this, but his old regime is responsible for
what?
it. When they went into the East in 1941, they launched a war where they were completely unprepared to deal with the millions and millions of prisoners of war, of local political prisoners, and so forth that they were going to have to handle. They went in with no plan for that, and they just threw these people into camps. Millions of people ended up dead.
Ended up? Oh, that's deranged.
Tucker Carlson will have on over and over a pro-Chinese propagandist who used global warming.
Oh, okay. As if that's even close to as bad. I'm sorry, what?
Global socialism, all in order to criticize Israel and help China.
This is actually the truth. If we drop our angst on big bad Russia, actually, we didn't have a chance to talk about it this time, maybe another time, but big bad China, which is also not going to invade the United United States, not going to threaten us, not going to go
What's
to
wrong
war.
with this? You can't put this back to back with the Holocaust denier and act like these are the same thing, dude. This video is so fucking directionless.
They're trying to deal with aging, and they've got their declining population and many other things. Not that they're falling apart. It's a very impressive civilization, but they're not a threat to the United States, honestly.
What is wrong with saying that?
It's not a threat.
What is wrong with saying that?
Tucker Carlson, of course, brings on both from us voices.
Assassinate the Earl. The Earl is giving a speech under Ravensburg's largest troop. The assassination event will create diversion needed to draw out all Shalom.
You're gonna tell me that you're protecting Andrew Tate right now? A pornographer. You're an evil piece of shit, man. You're a fucking scumbag. Not a sex trafficker, not a rapist.
Tucker Carlson will glorify him and present him as a maligned truth teller, rather
Quiet
than
entrance.
Literally all of your fucking boys,
Without
all
it.
of your little friends in the conservative sphere, glaze
Load
Andrew
it
Tate,
down
the
on
only
their
exception
nose.
is Jordan
Steal some
Peterson.
food as soon as
This
we
is
can
how
get
Tucker
some.
Carlson's ideological wandering works. You bring your dirty, ugly ideologies to Tucker Carlson's rhetorical car wash. He mixes it with some of the vestigial respect.
It's so condescending. He's explaining this like he's talking to a child.
Americans have
Like a car wash.
from his Fox News days, and voila, his ideas suddenly become mainstream. And then, of course, Tucker denies he said anything controversial at all. He was just asking questions. He was just interviewing people. You don't want.
Dude, that is the strategy. That is what Charlie Kirk did. That's what you do.
And to cancel people, do you? Of course, there is no First Amendment right to a Tucker Carlson sensual massage.
That went terribly.
There was.
He's so creepy, dude. Stop making all this innuendo.
So long as you despise America, oppose President Trump's foreign policy, and bear a peculiar dislike of Jews. Tucker Carlson, you see, is a coward. And here is where his relationship with Nick Fuentes begins, with Nick Fuentes correctly pointing out that Tucker Carlson is a coward. You see, Tucker Carlson, a few weeks back, had on Candace Owens to treat her to his usual ideological laundering services. That's after years of Candace Owens saying things like this.
Oh, he's going for Candace, too. Wow. Yeah, get her, man.
He's the king.
Not even going to have half the fucking clips. He's just asking to get clowned on by both of these people. This is such a swing and a miss for him.
The bones, for whatever reason, are always just found by the paleontologist. Like, it's not like you and me walking outside. I'm like, hey, dinosaur bones. And,
Okay, yeah, she's a fucking moron. We all know that. This is not like a fucking. This is not a bad thing to say. This is just a stupid thing to say.
or by somebody who is related to a paleontologist. It's very strange.
Dude, come on. Okay, here, maybe this one will be about what she thinks about World War II or Hitler. The fucking dinosaur bones clip. Not exactly your most hard-hitting.
And then, but it was just convenient for Israel that JFK got shot. It was just convenient, you guys. Totally convenient. It was convenient for Israel, by the way, when the towers went down. I just want to be. I'm waking people up to the fact that pedophiles are in power. They're literally in power. And that is intentional because then.
Yeah, his name is Donald Trump.
They can be controlled while they are in power. And they are also exhibiting signs of a psychopathology that lets them know that they will do harm to the masses and feel nothing.
Oh, okay, Dr. Candace.
Because they were themselves, many of them raped when they were children.
Oh, she's lost her mind. She's going Liver King.
Obama, gay. Zelensky, gay. Emmanuel Macron.
Oh my God.
Feel nothing because they were themselves, many of them raped when they were children. It's not a coincidence that Justin Trudeau is gay. That Obama, gay. Zelensky, gay. Emmanuel Macron, gay and married to a trans man who molested him when he was a child.
Well, Candace Owens
Oh my God.
and this led.
She's the stupidest person to ever post a
Okay.
video, I think. She's just Alex Jones at this point. Obama is gay.
And so Tucker hit upon a final stratagem. He let Nick Fuentes cut him. He brought Nick Fuentes on to
Ben, you can't do this. It's so funny because in his video condemning Nick Fuentes, he's escalating and mimicking his language in the same way. Ben doesn't usually say shit like this. He's only saying it because he's been watching a bunch of Nick Fuentes clips and wants to capture that same edgy fucking teenage audience.
you,
They
legitimate.
start picking your nose and fucking eating your boogers on stream like Nick Fuentes does, and maybe you'll fucking get some of his nasty little crusty audience.
His ideology. He signal boosted Fuentes, glossed him, shined him, presented him to the world, all in order to protect his own reputation with his online base. A base
That is
he's
true.
competing over with Nick Fuentes. Now, of course, Tucker has a right to do all of this for the 100th time. You know what he likes. This is America. There's one other element here that's even darker if possible. Tucker Carlson preys on the friendship
final part of the video. Tucker Carlson is a fake friend.
And then, nicely, directly between the shoulder blades, when convenient for him.
Oh, or baby.
Tucker Carlson is, in short, a terrible friend. Tucker Carlson was supposedly Charlie Kirk's friend. Charlie believed that Nick Fuentes was vermin. It's a direct quote. He believed
Not
that
sure how I'm
Nick
supposed to
Fuentes
get past
dedicated
all
his
of
life
them
to destroy
without
Charlie Kirk and
sneaking.
CPUSA.
That is true.
Describing
Dang, a lot of
Kirk
different
before
murders.
Charlie was murdered.
Charlie Kirk cannot call himself a Christian anymore. Sorry, you forfeited that. I do not want to hear, and you cannot allow Charlie Kirk to go to one more public event, one more question.
Because he's not racist or anti-Semitic enough. He won't admit that. He won't say that the Jews killed Jesus like fucking this motherfucker says, because it's ahistorical and not even in the Bible.
Without being protested, without being shouted down, without being interrogated about this, this guy goes.
It's so funny that Ben wants to imply that Charlie Kirk was shot by a groper. I thought he was a transgender, non-binary furry or whatever. Come on.
And here is Nick Fuentes describing how he destroyed TPUSA from the inside.
Whether he chooses to confront me or not, whether he has dignity and honor or not, it's just a matter of time. My ideas are already there. I've already impregnated your organization. I took Turning Point USA and I fucked it. I took your organization, I took your
Let's see
baby,
if I can
Turning
do
Point
this
USA,
right
and I fucked
Maybe.
it.
Probably.
And I've been fucking it. And that's why it's filled with groypers. That's why your whole crew, that's why the people around you, that's why your chapter presidents, that's why your attendees, they're all groypers.
And
They
here's
are.
Nick Fuentes.
And he's right about that. And that's an indictment of Charlie Kirk and his hiring practices and his organization and his fucking standards. No, Charlie let that happen.
Charlie Kirk unpatriotic and talking about how he's a retarded idiot and saying all firepower should be focused on Charlie Kirk.
We are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame.
Nick Fuentes despised Charlie Kirk. And
This is
for
true.
good reason, because Charlie Kirk actually opposed Nick's evil program. Here's what
It's so funny because if Jesus Christ ever met Nick Fuentes, he would turn him into a pillar of salt.
After Charlie's death, TPUSA made Tucker Carlson one of its chief faces. Tucker, of course, spoke at Charlie's memorial, where he implied that homeless eating nefarious Jews killed Charlie, with no mention of the ideology of the actual alleged murderer, who was, of course, a trans activist gay furry. Tucker Carlson, in fact, has been
Trans activist. You think there'd be a little more evidence of any activism than one fucking screenshot of a text that wasn't even a screenshot, it was a transcript.
and about the trans-Skifa ideology that motivated Charlie Kirk's killer.
We're about to die because we suck at being stealthy at this. We're going to give it the best effort we got.
Well, now, Tucker Carlson has seen fit to longer Nick Fuentes, the person who hated Charlie most and who wished him destruction. That's not an act of friendship, it's an act of sick evil. And then, of course, there's Tucker Carlson's relationship
Yeah,
with
they got me.
certainly Vice President Vance and General
I really think I'd just be better off going loud. I think I'm going to go loud this time.
Here, for example, is what Nick Fuentes
I think I'm going to go loud this time because I'm getting tired of trying to be stealthy and failing at something when I can just be loud and get it done on the first try.
For years, all they talk about is going to the gym, being a vitalist, fighting the Matrix, India smells bad, all this kind of shit. And now they're all in favor of a fat race mixer who's married to a Jew who named his son Fat, who was mentored by a Jewish neocon and a gay fed, Peter Thiel.
Cardiographer. The cardiographer in your settlement provides a good way to find hidden treasure in the world. He's something.
Political strategy. Straddle the line between this
Okay.
and fucking super pro Israel.
I'm tired of being stealthy. So it's going to do this different.
She's white, dude. She's white. If we had millions of Slovenian supermodels immigrating to America, I don't think we'd have a big problem with it.
That is just the quiet part out loud. Just because it's normally quiet on Fox News or Matt Walsh's show or Ben Shapiro's show doesn't change anything. You guys are the same guys saying the same thing on the same team. He's just stupid, so he's louder with the part that you don't say. And his audience is fucking stupid, so they seek out someone saying that quiet part out loud.
direct quote, oppose Heritage's ongoing relationship with Tucker Carlson, which means that according to Kevin Roberts, apparently, anyone opposing the ongoing mainstreaming of Tucker Carlson is acting on behalf of a foreign power. Kevin statement is a betrayal of the Heritage Foundation's history and principle, which is presumably by both Tucker Carlson.
You're not the CEO of Heritage Foundation. You can't just say that.
And influence as loved it. And that's a tragedy, because America needs a robust conservative organization based on principle and ideas, not personal loyalty to bad actors like Tucker Carlson. We need strong leaders in the
we need to be able to cancel when I don't like somebody. Get them out of here. Like what? You can't fucking. It's just so funny that he is insisting this isn't a cancellation, but he's also insisting that these people be removed from his conservative movement. It's like his sandbox, his playground. No one else could be here.
I hope Kevin Roberts and Heritage show us they can still be those leaders. But if not, we'll have to look elsewhere. So, why is all of this happening? Because, like the Democratic Party, the Republican Party is being eaten by its radicals. Many in the political class are too cowardly to stand up. Apparently, they're willing to play footsie with Roy Burrs and hug Tucker Carlson out of fear of somehow losing support. They've been bamboozled.
Somehow. It's almost like Israel's very unpopular.
By the lies of the X algorithm and the TikTok metrics. The left followed its radicals to electoral hell. Apparently,
see, this perspective creates more questions than it does answers for conservatives. Because if the X algorithm is lying to them, then is Elon Musk woke? This doesn't compute.
Americans hate Tucker Carlson's laundered anti-Americanism. Republicans think it's trash. Independents think it's trash. Democrats think it's trash. Americans are not pro-segregation, pro-rape, anti-woman, pro-child marriage, anti-black, anti-Jew, anti-Indian,
I mean, yeah, the vast majority of people, sure, but conservatives, Republicans, no, you've got your wires crossed, buddy.
And Latino, anti-Constitution pro nut jobs, like Nick Fuentes. And Americans are not pro-Putin, pro-Iran, pro-China, pro-Venezuela, pro-Hamas, pro-Fuentes, pro-Tate's idiots like Tucker Carlson. They hate this vile garbage. If Republicans decide to cower before the likes of neo-Nazis and their propagandizers, they deserve to lose. And they will lose. Neo-Nazis and their propagandizers are not Republicans. They're not America First. They're not MAGA. They sure as hell aren't conservative. These people aren't to my right. They're not attached in any way to the fundamental principles of conservatism.
So what, they're leftists? What do you mean?
And these people have already declared themselves to be my enemies. I'd be a fool not to take them seriously. If they get their way, they will hollow out the Republican Party, lead it to electoral catastrophe, and empty it, and the country of any semblance of decency in the process. My answer is no. No to the Reuters. No to their publicists, like Tucker Carlson. No to those who champion them. No to demoralization. No to bigotry and anti-meritocratic horse shit. No to
anti-meritocratic?
Americanism.
What are you saying?
No. This is
being sneaky and doing a hard day's work. Kinda looks like I'm taking a poop in the dirt. I gotta say, if you don't pick up a rock, you're gonna look very suspicious at this point. There we go. Sell it. Sell it. Sell it and split off real quick, fast, and in a hurry.
That is a path to defeat.
This is really just about Israel. If they were pro-Israel, he wouldn't give a shit about anything else they said. But because they're anti-Israel,
that didn't work, did it? Somebody spotted me.
Damning objectively that he normally would let slide, if not outwardly defend.
Guess you can hide one dead body, but not two.
I reject it. Because if we lose the right, we will lose to the left. And either way, we'll lose the country. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is the Ben Shapiro Show.
Yeah, that was dog shit. Ben Shapiro was already falling off.
Oh, their rear guards following up on the bodies. Okay.
Slobbered by two people with huge audiences that have already built big audiences making fun of Ben Shapiro and breaking from him very openly. So giving them an opportunity to talk about him, I mean, he's Thanksgiving dinner.
Question is how fast they're gonna find me. Oh, scary, scary, scary. was almost on me. Jump scare. Oh.
Lanterns glow on cobblestone, snow is at the door. Cloaks hang dripping by the fire, boots crowd the floor. Someone shouts you made it back and pulls a friend in tight. Laughter climbs the chimney bricks and stows it to the night. Stories roll like barrels across the creek and wooden planks. Every voice a little prayer, every toast a thanks. So raise your cup to the year we prayed, to the little winds and the storms we faced, to the deals we struck and the songs we wrote, to the heavy loads that still stayed afloat. If you found your goal or you just stayed strong, you belong by the fire, you belong in this song.
See if we can heat close them over the wall.
At the corner table, see the merchant grin. Finally paid the old debt off, tangered to it.
Remember this old logo? Remember this little guy? Well, I'm excited to announce that I've officially
Are
partnered
you
with
just-
YouTube, so you too can have this little guy in your room. It comes with little rays, it comes with little legs, and it comes with a friend because the things that he's forced to talk about are sometimes low-key pretty traumatizing. And don't worry, for a limited time, these will be made to order. So there's literally no way for anyone to scalp them. That means if you're a scalper and you buy 1,000 of these, we'll just make 1,000 more. Now look at you. You're just a sad, lonely scalper with 1,000 of me frowning at you. So for a limited time only, please use my link in the description to head to YouTube's and get your Ray Like Sunshine plushie today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome back to the top side, light side of the internet. Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. Too busy hiding from the goddamn viewers.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
officially
this
the
one.
holiday season, which means that all of your hard-earned money will now be sacrificed to the greater David princes of capitalism. And all of our cats will have new pals and boxes to play with. Upon further observation, these two do bear a striking resemblance to each other. And because it's a holiday season, you're probably trying to buy yourself, your friends, or your loved ones something that they really want, aka something that went viral on TikTok. For some, it could be a Gap Cat's Eye merch. For others, it could be a Galinda-themed water bottle. And for 8-year-old me, it was mother freaking Pokemon cards. I remember when I got my first Pokemon starter pack at Ross around this time of year. I didn't even have any friends to play with, and I didn't even know what half
Oh,
of the Pokemon
I turned
were.
around just in time to see the wood.
Oh my god, is that
I
a shiny
saw the
wood?
wood.
And that's the magical thing about Pokemon cards. If you're a kid, you don't care about things like card rarity, or card values, or card grades. The only grades I cared about were school grades. So my parents could buy me more Pokemon cards. To a kid, a Jigglypuff has the same value as a Charizard. In fact, some kids might like the Jigglypuff more because it's pink. And I think that's why Pokemon cards are the perfect gift for any Gen Alpha.
Yeah, thank
is what I would say if you could actually find it. Oh, you thought it would be easy to get Pokemon cards? You thought you could just waltz into your local Target and buy a pack of cards off the shelf like I did when I was a kid? Did you really think you could get a pack of cards without having to go through Steve, who is a 43-year-old stay-at-home son and just bought the entire supply of Pokemon cards at every single Walmart within a 50-mile
Not
radius?
what I
And it
meant to
sounds like
do,
someone
but
with
okay, we
99
can
bucks
roll
in
with
a
it, I guess,
pack.
Core.
Well, everyone pointed at this guy and laughed. Getting Pokemon cards is basically impossible these days. But as you probably noticed by now, it's not just Pokemon cards that are being affected with scalpers. In fact, it's not even just the aforementioned.
Ow, ow, ow. Do not do that to me, chunky girl. I love you, but stop that.
Make sure to set an alarm for the pre-sale.
You know how to need better. If you're gonna claw the crap out of my leg, we ain't playing this game. You can move right on.
Did you have a partner that was really into looking?
Trying to concentrate on it. Normally I'd ignore it, but no.
Walmart and get laughed out of the store because you went to the cashier and asked, "Do you have any Labubu? Is your name Ray and you wanted to buy a new gaming PC for over a decade? Make sure to not make a stupid financial
Okay,
decision
how
and
am I
decide to
supposed
buy
to do
the
this
literal
quietly
worst time
and
ever as
quickly?
GPU and RAM
I swear, Chikora.
The fact that AI data centers have taken over the entire
Better
supply
behave.
the next year. At least my name's not red. Or is it? There was even a whole scandal where some guy was scalping golf tee times. In golf tee times.
Now at 3:30, is there a black market for tee times on the city's golf courses? An investigation has been launched after an LA Times report revealed that brokers are snatching up coveted tee times and then selling them online.
Like, Jesus Christ, if you're going to screw us like that, at least start with foreplay. Oh, brother, this guy stinks! Scalpers exist just to leech off of others just to earn a profit, which is baffling to me because I feel like there's so many other ways to make some
Not
quick cash.
the target I meant to make.
You could mow people's lawns, walk people's dogs. You could get fired from your job and then on a whim decide to become a YouTuber, then unexpectedly have the channel grow kind of really fast, and then suddenly 2 years in, you find yourself in the position where you have to make analytical yet semi-funny and entertaining videos for hundreds of
Not what I
thousands of
wanted
people
to do
every day
again.
on a semi-regular basis, and meet sponsor deadlines on top of that. Or, if you're really smart, you could just use today's sponsor, Free Cash. Like I said, sponsor deadlines. When I was but a wee lad, my father said, you can't earn anything while playing with your kids.
Maybe the next time we'll hit the target we're aiming at and not, you know, some random douchebag in front of him.
And said,
So close. Come on.
Testing mobile games, completing surveys, and trying out products. Products like Monopoly Go, this one vampire game, and Imagine Dragging these, Merge Dragon. All I did was download the game and complete the challenges that they listed out for me, and then get paid out. I call it my coffee because A, I can do it while you drink my morning coffee, and B, it literally pays for most of my coffee. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, I know, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. There is no way this is legit. Look, I can tell you how it has a 4.9.
Okay, what the fuck, game? Just right in the middle, huh?
But I think what really sold me was when I searched free cash Reddit. 98% of what I found were saying that this site is indeed legit. And I know all of you are just searching Reddit when you're trying to ask questions like these. I know what you are. I just can't prove it. But what I can prove is that free cash is now my go-to way to spend my doom scrolling time. So what are you waiting for? Use my link in the description or my QR code and download free cash to start earning today. Thank you to Free Cash for sponsoring today, and let's get back to the video. Scalpers are basically parasites. They exist in every single ecosystem. They actively benefit off of causing others harm, and the only way to truly understand them is to observe them in their own ecosystem. And with that, I'd like to formally introduce you to a new segment that I like to call Super Sunshine
Try this
Story
again.
Time.
Quiet till we get right up on him.
It just doesn't have the same ring as ADHD tangent time, you know? To really get the full picture of how
And
scalpers
we
work and
pounce.
behave, we have to go back in time and study the phenotypic ancestors of modern-day scalpers. The first known occurrence of scalpers were actually in ancient Greece and Rome, with people selling tickets to gladiatorial games at a markup. And in a time where some poor schmuck getting thrown to lions was the best form of entertainment you'll have for the next month, you can imagine that people were probably willing to give up a couple extra sesterces to get a seat at the Colosseum.
Again,
This is
wrong name.
Gaius Necmurius. He's 35 and still leeches on hard-working.
I will get stabbed in the face again, probably, because I'm getting frustrated with these multi. God damn you, annoying furry fucks.
Now, the actual term scalper originated in the 19th century from a practice that probably will get me demonetized if I talk about it, and was actually used to describe brokers who profited off of train ticket sales. This is Reginald. He has some business savvy and realized that the per mile cost of a longer train route was actually significantly lower than a shorter train route. So Reginald decidedly buys a ticket from New York City to San Francisco. Reginald then gets off halfway at Chicago and then sells his ticket to someone trying to get to San Francisco.
Okay, that was horse shit. Deep breath. We got this. One more round. Hopefully this time we won't fuck up the stab. Because that time I feel like we got right on him. Did the assassination and he just didn't assassinate.
Return tickets to New York City are kind of expensive. Reginald and people like Reginald notice that if you're able to artificially reduce the supply of something, you can basically charge whatever the hell you want. People started doing
Hey,
this
at least
with
before
concert
their head gets
tickets,
down.
sporting tickets, and
Got
every
2 new
single
friends in the
service
wings,
that was
though.
behind
3
it.
new
Remember
friends
the
in the
movie The
wings.
Greatest Show? Well, in real life, during the
Adrenaline full.
concerts,
Okay,
scalpers
we're gonna
actually
try something
bought
different this
huge
time.
blocks of tickets to resell to wealthy patrons who didn't want to wait in line. This practice basically became widespread and continues on to this day. And today, things really haven't changed much. The only difference is that scalpers are buying tickets en masse to sell to non-rich people who actually did wait in line. In fact, scalping is so commonplace these days that Wikipedia has a surprisingly long entry on the subject. And this is the picture
God
they use. Ticket scalper. Look, I'm not one to look shit. All I'm saying is he looks exactly like I expected him to look. Oh, and just to remain kind of more PC, I should note that scalpers don't actually like to be called scalpers and would rather be called resellers because they think that the term scalping is giving more sewer dweller rap, while reseller is giving more girly pop capitalism. Anyways, the most common type of sewer dwelling rap is a concert ticket scalper. These scalpers use bots to gain access to entire blocks of tickets explicitly for the purpose of reselling, with some of these people earning upwards of millions in revenue every year. During the sale of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour tickets, the high demand, i.e. army of scalper bots logging in, caused issues on Ticketmaster's side, such as slow load times, people being stuck in queue for hours, and the entire Ticketmaster server going up in flames. You know, things that are generally not conducive to a smooth running of online ticket sales. When all was said and done, the vast majority
God
of fans
damn fucking angles.
Ticketmaster site empty-handed.
In the end, no tickets. Some of those lucky enough to score immediately flipped theirs on the resale market.
Okay, that was kind of a funny angle.
On StubHub.
In response to this, Ticketmaster said that they were, and I quote, hit with 3 times the amount of bot traffic that we had ever experienced, which makes zero sense because they have a verified fan system which is supposed to prevent this exact type of thing from happening. So really that Senate testimony just sounded like, oopsie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for there to be a massive bot attack on our website. We totally did mean for there to be a bot attack on our website. I'm sorry, what did you just say there? Oh, shit. I meant to say that there were.
Oh, bullshit.
I said not. What do you think I said? No, I'm pretty sure you said that there were. Gosh, shit. This led to a number of lawsuits, including a class action lawsuit.
Okay. We're done doing this the fucking bullshit, sneaky bullshit way. Although admittedly that time I didn't even get the shot at it sneaky. Can we go? Did the controller disconnect? The slowdown frustrates me. The lag frustrates me. Alright.
Found Ticketmaster representatives at a Las Vegas convention, actually helping scalpers who had hundreds of fake accounts and wanted
Your
to
power
sell those
reflects your
tickets.
progress. It is based on the number of skills unlocked in your skill tree. Improve your power to face harder challenges. Do not bark. God damn it, Chikora, you and your claws.
Use your brain. And while the Eras Tour is the most high-profile scalping show recently, it's not like this isn't happening all the time as well. Cat's Eye is coming to Bill Graham and SF, and usually when I go to a Bill Graham concert, I'm not paying more than $75. Explain to me why Cat's Eye tickets are going for $800 a piece right now. In fact, it's like almost every time I try to buy tickets to any show, I have to check whether or not the website I'm buying from is the official one that the artist is selling tickets on, or some random reseller website that makes me pay $30 extra for no fucking reason. Am I supposed to buy it on SeatGeek, StubHub, GameTime, TickPick, Vivid Seats? I don't know. I don't even want to go to this concert anymore. Who needs concerts when you have art rate? But resellers have been unified more than just
now I feel dumb.
Which is where we get to our next parasitic specimen, the culture leech. Now, why have sociologists across the world called this one the culture leech? Well, the first reason is because these people buy merch or limited releases of specific niches that they have no interest in order to resell items to people who actually have a passion for the thing. And the second reason is that I actually lied about sociologists calling these people culture leeches. I really just wanted an excuse to go. The settlers is using town folk to make it rich and fast forward 2024. You've got the same agenda. You run to Atlanta when you need a couple dollars. No, you're not a colleague. You're a colonizer. What I'm trying to say is scalpers are basically rich. I also did not take my medication today. The thing about these types of scalpers is that while they are culture leeches, they also only exist because of our inherent yearning for merch. Isn't that right, little guy? I want to get bought so freaking bad. Preach, little guy. Gap recently did a collab with Cat's Eye in opposition to Sydney Beanie, and once again, to nobody's surprise, because scalping is so common these days, had the merch sell out in literal minutes. Some people on Reddit said, I just got one off Depop for only just under double retail price. So it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. The retail price for the sweater is $70. You're saying you paid almost $140 for Gap? The sweater is on eBay for $200.
Yep.
By the way. Be better than the Gap. Say it. Say you're better than the Gap. You're better than the Gap. And you're also better than the $5,000 Cat's Eye and 5-gun pole.
Eh.
Wait, they made a Cat's Eye gun.
I feel like Gravity did a lot of that work for her. But hey, you found your visor. That's good.
Yeah, it was hiding.
But
But then again, I have two of them.
It does come as a shock to some of us. We're just trying to get our friends and family a gift. One person said, Gap completely botched this. I'm a grown man trying to buy my niece the only thing that's on her Christmas list, and a multi-billion global clothing brand can't seem to manufacture a damn hoodie. It doesn't benefit them to create scarcity. They're not a Kardashian brand. Okay, arguably, I would say that Cat's Eye is
Hey, Marco.
Cat's Eye
You doing better today?
Kim couldn't even pass it. But other than that, I agree completely. Despite the reselling craziness that comes with merch, we were all deceived. Because if there's one thing that scalpers and resellers value most, one thing that scalpers and resellers have poured all their greed into, their lust and their desire to dominate all unnecessary trinkets that bring us a fleeting dopamine. One trinket. It's a seasonal holiday month. Remember those news reports about Black Friday before the rise in internet shopping?
It's the unofficial start of the holiday shopping season.
Thank God that doesn't happen anymore, right? Right?
You're watching people in New Jersey elbowing each other, trying to get their hands on Starbucks' newest holiday product.
Also, welcome to be happy. Go buy one at Starbucks. Little bear.
I just wanted to let everybody know that after getting sent 4:30 this morning,
we completed the quest. Yay! It only took more tries than I want to try to count. But we are set on the hard mode. I'm sure she makes an appearance in Mirage. If not Mirage, then possibly Shadows. And then whatever comes after, because we live in the infinite.
The hype train is to the point where on eBay you can find resellers trying to pawn this off for $100 for a bear mug that doesn't even fit in your car bear mug. And what's even worse is that you can find this same exact mug on Alibaba for like $3.50 a unit. It's basically the same thing. It's literally the same thing. We saw the same obsession happen with Stanley Cups, and do you remember what happened with that? Nobody even cares about Stanley Cups anymore. It's all about Onalas or Owawas or whatever the hell the new gimmicky mug is this year. And honestly, if this is the type of wasteful consumption that all of us are condoning, then maybe we deserve to have resellers ruin everything for us. Because if all we want to do is buy the newest and most viral product to replace all our old stuff that still works perfectly fine, yeah, maybe we deserve to pay a freaking premium for that. But while culture leeches are bottom feeders, they're not necessarily the scum of the earth. The actual scum of the earth are scalpers that make it their job to steal joy from kids. We're done. This is so good.
You guys look at me buy all these kids get them.
So while we already touched upon Pokemon scalpers, I want to touch on it again because I think Pokemon are cool. I like Pokemon. I want to touch on Pokemon. I like touching Pokemon. I remember when I finally got into actually playing the game of Pokemon. It was mostly fun. You know, you had goals. You had to actually build a deck.
Into a
But you always
tree.
had those one or two kids that you
Let's
played
also
with that
fix
didn't
our
care about
uniform
things
back,
like
because
rules or fairness or rules.
sort of
One time I played with a kid who I
element
was kind of
road.
soundly beating, and he just placed down a Charizard. No energy points, no nothing, just plopped down a Charizard like that. And he said, I win because I just put down my Charizard. He also stole a bunch of my shiny cards because of the lack of aforementioned morals. Okay, Billy. At least I had parents who loved me. Now give me back my shiny Jigglypuff. Anyways, Billy grew up and became a Pokemon scalper. Pokemon scalpers make me both angry and sad at the same time. They make me mad because they cause kids like these to lose faith in humanity at a far earlier age than they really should. And also, can you imagine, as a kid, watching 8 children fight over racks of Pokemon cards at your local Walmart at 11 a.m. on a random Tuesday?
That just looks kind of dumb on her. I'm not gonna have to complete sit anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll get to the zoo soon. I just need to pick up a couple things. And they make me sad because something must have gone terribly wrong in their lives for them all to embrace the Pokemon scalper mantra of fucking kids. Boy, Red Man, yeah, you know, internet's the biggest Pokemon scalper. Hey, I did my motorcycle check and cleared up out that them kids. Hey, comment scalper down below. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. He looks exactly like I expected him to look. Now you may be thinking, what's so inherently wrong with scalping? That's no different than what any store or legitimate business does. And yes, true.
They aren't bad looking boots. It's not a bad looking uniform, I don't think. Just need to upgrade it all the way.
When it comes down to it, big box stores like Target and Walmart are actually
Let's see what else we can get out of here.
These companies take on the
I'm
job
gonna
of
burn the
sourcing,
place down.
distributing, and then stocking your stores so that when we
I do
want
like
to buy
that
a
hood.
gallon of milk, we don't actually have to either go to a
It's a
farmer
nice
or
hood.
physically have our own cow, which is why there's a distinct difference between a legitimate Pokemon card business like this.
Japanese Pokemon product is all imported from Japan, and there's no direct wholesale distribution for anybody over here in the U.S. to get product from Japan.
And rats like this, whose only service to the end consumer is to make it more difficult to get Pokemon cards and making them pay extra for the inconvenience. Which is why I think that people who try to defend Pokemon scalping are the same people who would try to run an inconvenience store. Welcome in. Hey, do you guys have ice cream? Yup, they're over there. Thank you. Okay. Dude, all of these are melted at room temperature. Okay, well, if you wanted it frozen, you should have passed beforehand. Okay, can I just buy a pack of cigs then? Yeah, for sure. Tobacco seeds are on the furthest aisle across the freaking fridge. Why are you like this? Because I hate children. You know, at the end of the day, it's not like any of these people are scalping necessary things. And mostly just hobby and enthusiast type of things. At least they're not buying up stuff like baby formula and trying to resell them for double to triple the price. Say what? People are buying up baby formula and trying to sell it at double to triple the price.
With record levels of baby formula running dry nationwide, tonight a crackdown on what officials are calling unconscionable costs. Wisconsin's governor issuing an emergency order prohibiting price gouging, as New York's Attorney General threatens several dozen retailers with legal consequences for overcharging.
Garçon, bring me my El Toro, please. Yep, people who do this exist, and they are scum of the earth, and I don't really want to talk about anything like that. So, moving on. Now, you may, like me, when I first started this video, feel nothing but resentment and disgust for people who engage in this type of unfettered capitalism. But I have another perspective to offer. When I was brainstorming this topic with my researcher, she brought up a little anecdote from her university days. For those of you who went to university, you remember those classes that you had to take for your major but would fill up almost instantly? And if you didn't wake up at 5 a.m. to sign up for the class, you would kind of be cooked. Well, her comp sci classmates actually built a bot to automatically sign them up for the classes that they needed while they were sound asleep after playing Valorant for 10 hours straight. Some would say this is resourcefulness, and yes, I would have to agree with that, but that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make here is that if you ever find something online that you either really need or really want being resold for double to triple the price, and you have the inclination to feel
Good
angry,
believe we've done our bit here.
don't, because it's more than likely that the person on the other side of that eBay listing is just that rare breed of sad, unemployed comp sci major who is
Nope.
just trying to
I
fund
gotta
his
light
awful
this
life
place
of
up
skin
some more,
addiction.
please.
You should really just feel bad for them instead. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to check out Free Cash today. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.
Alrighty. Down the line we go.
My definition of a punk is a DL man, and my baby daddy was a punk. And majority of the men that I messed with in the military were punks, and I just didn't realize the sign.
I need everyone to listen because when I'm scrolling on my free page and I see a video about a man disrespecting a woman, I don't want to open the comment section and see any. That's not a real man, by the way. He gotta be gay. He gotta be DL.
The rise in the DL abuse on this app is Shrek women trying to make sense of the fact that they now know.
Okay, so you think your man is on the down low. Here are 5 foolproof ways to find out for sure. Girl, I've been exposing DL men since 2022 and successfully saved the lives of 40 plus women from these demonic boy lovers. Do you see how crazy that sounds? Were you intrigued? Did you jump? Because it's time we talk about it. Hey guys, that's Emergency One. Welcome back to my channel. And today we are talking about something that has been sitting on my heart for a while now and needs to be had because I think where this conversation started was fine and well-intentioned, but where it's going and where it is right now is largely problematic, and I don't think we're seeing it as such. And what I'm talking about is the rise of DL hunting, or down low men hunting. And it seems timely to talk about this, seeing as there have been DL allegations of, let's say, presidential proportions, catch my drift, but also just a general uptick in DL hunter content and commentary spreading online. Like, I've been seeing this trend online of DL hunters, or at least just women telling absolutely abhorrent stories about men, and the comments under these videos are always quick to say that the man in question here is actually just down low or secretly gay, and implying that that presumption could be the only possible explanation as to why he would treat a woman that way. Almost as if blatant misogyny hasn't existed for actual centuries. And when I see things like this, I just have to ask, what did we do? Like, I feel like we've circled around from allyship to just blatant homophobia, because why are we using gay as an insult again? I mean, gay as an insult just in a sort of different way. Like, honestly, some of y'all are just getting a little too comfortable using it in a derogatory way. Like, I've even seen people starting to say slurs because they have been reclaimed again. Right. You may be asking yourself, Romy, is it really that deep for you to make a whole video about it? And to that I say, yes, actually. Because at its core, when you're ascribing negative traits like being misogynist, hating women, or just being too feminine or sassy in derogatory ways, such as saying that someone is DL or just secretly gay, what is that really saying about what you think about gay people? Quickly. And if you know me, you know I go hard for my girlies and gays, but it really does get to a point because it feels like there's a portion of women out there that are finding out
a lot of
that
our
are
raid targets are also like
just outwardly allowed
OP compared to us at the moment.
And instead of confronting and addressing the roots of
We could try to do this one, but it wouldn't go well. Our best bet's gonna be to fast travel back to here right quick, and then we might go after that one little fellow night rider. I don't know, because he can kick my ass to figure out something. Just a minute, go right to the bathroom. I'll be right back, yo. Thank you for your patience.
No, actually. I heard this quote from a while ago about misogyny saying that, like, men don't love women but are still sexually attracted to them. Like, right, that's exactly what objectification is. And that right there is the deeply rooted misogyny in question we've been fighting for years. That men don't see women as equals, but rather as things to satisfy them. And I feel like that revelation is me preaching to the choir. But I just want to reinforce, again, that that is not a symptom of queerness. That's a symptom of years of patriarchy. Now, am I saying this hasn't happened in the history of ever? That, like, a man is actually repressing his identity and it comes out in the form of hatred towards women? Like, no, that surely has happened, and sure, it does happen. Like, there are many stories out there. Like, that's why this whole trend is taken off. And this isn't to invalidate anyone who's experienced this. But specifically what I'm talking about is, like, this wave of TikTok DL hunters and the insistence of calling every man whoever shows negative behavior towards women, or on the flip side, shows an ounce of femininity, we as society, or at least as the internet, throw them deep in the DL basket, or at least just use it as a weaponized insult against them. And I think the language we use here is really important, as we're going to get into later in the video. Words do mean things. Like, I hate to say it, but some straight men, a lot actually, just hate women. And given the times we're living in, it's never been so blatantly in our faces. Now let's dig a little deeper into the fascination around the need to figure out who is DL and who is not. Now, I do want to say right off the bat, I understand hearing infidelity, because that truly sucks, and is one of the hardest feelings you feel in a relationship. But in the case of this DL debacle, that doesn't feel like that is entirely what this is. This feels a little more witch hunting. It feels like there's this need to know or to label someone who isn't behaving in a way that you'd like them to as DL. And as an addendum to that, usually this notion of DLness is greater within their context and narrative. And again, I am not experience or to, like, talk down to anybody, because yes, sure, this happens.
Sorry, y'all, I'm back. Be it ever so humble. There's no place like it.
Or if this man is being emotionally abusive or even verbally misogynistic, leave that man alone anyway. Like the reasonings behind why he may treat you or other people terribly doesn't have to be because he's secretly into men. Like you can leave a man for whatever reason. And of course, when I say this, I mean like if you're able to say it. I'm not talking about instances where this is dangerous, of course. And it's just like so many things about this conversation suck, obviously. But one thing I think about is how hard we work to move away from gender norms, only to then go back and reinforce them with the DL witch hunt of it all. Like I really hate to come on here and defend the man, but like if a man has done anything that can be deemed as being feminine, then that's a wrap. And of course, this is all using the antiquated heteronormative definitions of femininity and masculinity. And it just seems like this terrible backslide, which is not surprising given the increasingly traditional times that we're currently in. Like guys, if they float their DL, you gotta burn them the state, but if they sink, they're just a
Got the
now
things
take
you
a
need
look
to
at that. What are the
people,
factors of like this
fishermen have their moment.
and I think first and foremost, the problem started at home. So this is the section we're getting
Not
into
your
the
other
history of
supplies.
men on men.
Rape.
That does sound like homoerotic.
Do that.
No, I mean we're talking about the history of men policing other men's behavior. I feel like we definitely saw this more in the early 2010s growing up. But, like, do y'all remember the hashtag no homo of it all? And like men, straight men, actually using that unironically for saying a completely normal sentence about another guy. Like there were times where boys in middle school and high school were being weird about eating bananas, and that still happens to this day. Like God forbid a straight man eats a banana or a hot dog in public. Like I promise you, the food's not gonna make you gay if you weren't already. Fast forward to today, where the statements evolved into things like pause, ayo, and things like I am man, as signals that one person has gone too far into a non-masculine territory, or what was said could be interpreted as some kind of homosexual rigmarole on top. And the thing about it is that at best, statements like this and conversations like this either lead to a de-escalation or just general disengagement from the conversation at hand, and at worst, occasional violence. And we see this most often in media now for Gen Z and Alpha with streamers.
Okay, looks like he has something for me. Maybe.
Which way? I said Paul. Like, sure, this is definitely better than beating on gay people and being physically violent, but is this really where male allyship begins?
No, I haven't done it.
Conversations that don't fit into the rigid sense of masculinity. What immediately comes on me is like,
why does it keep telling me to do things and then there's like nothing I can do there?
In order to be in community with people, queer or not, you gotta do your part to facilitate a space that people can be comfortable in. Like,
Is there anything I can do?
That most of the time aren't actually gay, and you know that, so that you can be friends, operate within the masculine bounds of friendship, which is think about it like this. Say you have friends that are different from you. The more you treat people like regular people and not like some uncomfortable anomaly to be around, the better it'll be for us all. And it's nice and very cool by others that, but like that also really does require a shift in perspective from men and women to then not go on assuming that just because a guy is
and you do trading,
that he's also gay, zesty, or DL, or even if he doesn't have any outwardly gay friends.
I'll say I gotta get more supplies for
like for real, tolerance and basic human empathy check. Now we're gonna get a little academic with it and talk about a study around the concept of homosociality. And I think homosociality is something that we're seeing more and more of between men. And if you're unfamiliar, homosociality is a form of men policing others' behaviors in a somewhat panopticon style. The term homosocial was popularized by queer theorist Steve Sedgwick, and the concept of homosociality describes and defines social bonds between persons of the same sex. It is, for example, frequently used in studies on men and masculinities. They are defined as a mechanism in a social dynamic that explains the maintenance of hegemonic masculinity. A popular use of the concept is found in studies on male friendship, male bonding, and fraternity orders. And it is also frequently applied to explain how men, through their friendships and intimate collaborations with other men, maintain and defend the gender order and patriarchy. Basically, it's the concept of men seeking the approval of other men by dogging on women, or behaving in a way that is most pleasing to the social group, which is usually not including men or gays. And this is not to say that these men are gay or homosexual for doing so, but studies show that men have historically seeked to build camaraderie and respect and move in a way that gains the approval of other men as not teeter the norm.
Ravensthorpe qualifies the colony now, I think. No longer a ragtag symbol of their hero. Read that. Union possibility. Duck. Quality services. Recommending Patriots Hunters up first. This learning quite your lord. You can track down the right beasts. We also have a few settlers looking to build some services that would help us throw a bigger and wilder feast. Bakery and brewery. bigger the feast, the bigger the boost in market. So we've got the bakery, we need the brewery, and we got the old man. We need to go raid and build the settlement up. That's what we need to do. Before we do that, since someone has gone ahead and sullied one of the members of our clan, we'll have to go. So, and this is what take Lesnar off, and the thieves seek a sexy man named Gulfstein. Search for who Gulfstein is.
And are 1,000% things that need to be unpacked and changed about the culture of masculinity, and especially within Black masculinity. But that is just
a lot of theories suggest that male homosociality exists on the same spectrum as homoeroticism. But because of homohysteria, there's a really strong conscious social effort to create this diacritical opposition between homosexuality and homosociality in male relationships. So we're conceptualizing male homosocial relationships as a form of male bonding that involves homosocial desire and intimacy, as well as homosexual panic. So they're constantly turning their attention to other men, but then there's a really intense fear that this attention would glide into the homosexual territory.
On top of that, I think that women being homosexual in a patriarchal world is more of a form of protection and survival, as opposed to why men are homosocial. Because within a patriarchal society, male relationships are often structured in a way that reinforces and perpetuates.
I'm gonna go grab a drink while he goes on. I can still hear him.
Which is why women are commodities amongst men.
Now we've debriefed on man, but it's time that we now turn our focus towards the rise of policing men's behavior from women, which is kind of crazy to say given the patriarchy of it all, but hear me out. And one of the more prominent ways we've been seeing this on social media have been from the rise of the
sassy man apocalypse. Sassy male apocalypse.
Yes, the sassy man apocalypse. And I hate to be the too woke friend. No, I don't. But this trend never fully sat right with my spirit because it just got a little too comfortable with making claims around sexuality and gender expression. Oftentimes it feels like actually policing gender expression. Which, like, guys, I thought we put in the legwork to move away from.
Oh, honey, you can keep your peace treaty. And I could use the practice.
Sassy, chalant, and zesty feel like labels to scare men into acting a certain way or to not act a certain way. And by using gay as the instigating term, it's just, again, reinforcing homophobia because if they were gay, then what? Why is being gay or fruity or effeminate the covert insult here?
Oh, everything's gold. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna do one last thing. There we go. Oh, no shit. Oh, 2 more. Now wiggle my booty right back over in the front. I'm glad I don't have the camera equipped. That would have been embarrassing for y'all to see that little dance. Alright. Okay. Well, we cannot do anything else at the moment, so. Hey, buddy.
Especially for those of us that are straight to insinuate someone is gay. And again, even if they are.
I'm loving their outfits, and I want to know if I could make that. Like, okay, give me a second.
Traditional men,
Hold up, I'm not just.
Well, and with respect, in this current rise in things like red pill content, women hating somehow has to do with, like, the closeted homosexual men. When again, to reinforce this video's thesis, being a woman hater is not a queer trait. In fact, I'd actually go as far to argue that that is a trait of the traditional man, if we're looking historically. The narrative from all sides of the internet has evolved from, there are times when people take their closeted, repressed emotions and resentment that they can't live their truth out on women unfairly and unjustifiably, to now every man who mistreats a woman is a secret homo, when no, men can be, and oftentimes are, terrible people. Like this whole DL until proven straight mentality needs to go. Like just tossing men who act violent or hateful to women to the gay team is crazy, because misogyny has existed for so long. And if we want to take it a step further, that thought process also is insinuating that gay men hate women, which is like, okay. And I know that this is a sweeping generalization, which
I'll just
does not match every
can.
single case, but many cases that are being publicized on social media and are becoming part of regular conversation can be and oftentimes are harmful. Like the lack of attraction from queer men to women does not automatically mean that they hate them. And I know that that's common sense, but the way that this conversation has evolved really makes you wonder, because I think this whole thing is just crazy.
Yeah,
again,
big people are easy to use if they aren't. Like, you know, expecting a shit. Follow him. Hey, boy. Come on.
feel like is talked about enough, especially in the context of this conversation, has to do around the concepts of bi-erasure, biphobia, and the intersection of bisexuality and people of color. Quite literally putting the bipolar. I'm kidding, that's not what that means. Although when I first heard the term bipolar, I thought it was bisexual people of color. But we have
Just gonna pretend like the fuck what it was that didn't happen.
I think another aspect of this that so often gets looked over is the fact that the conversation around DL men often gets very black and white. People tend to forget that bi people exist. And you may be like, yeah, okay, I get it. Bi people exist. But like, why are people not being honest about it? Well, biphobia. And no, biphobia isn't just a buzzword that I made up and decided to throw in this video. There are actual studies to demonstrate that people report more negative sentiments towards bisexual individuals than gay and lesbian individuals, which for one is interesting, and two is a whole inter-community discourse that could be a whole separate video. But for the sake of this video, we looked into a study that specifically focuses on the intersections of bisexual identity. And according to this study, which is an examination of attitudes towards bisexual people at the intersections of gender and race and ethnicity, people actually reacted more negatively to bisexual men than women. Black and Hispanic bisexuals more than white bisexuals, and more negatively towards trans bisexuals than cisgender bisexuals. Okay, cool. But what does all this mean? This is all to say that the demographic that experiences the most negative reactions and sentiments are BIPOC trans men, bisexuals, are BIPOC trans men bisexuals, and then cis BIPOC bisexuals. Like, not that this is like the Jenny and Georgia Depression Olympics or anything, but this is more to show the barriers and challenges this community faces, and how that might lead for some people to stay DL. Because again, I feel like this part of the conversation isn't talked about enough. Oftentimes, DL people are not just gay; they are bisexual because they're still sexually intimate, oftentimes emotionally intimate, with the women they're dating, while also having and emotional relations with men. So just because a DL is messing with guys and love does not mean that he's just gay. And this mentality that we're talking about as to why people stay DL is also rooted in patriarchy. Like, see, for the men out there that hate when I talk about patriarchy, it literally impacts everyone, including you. Lastly, for this point in the study, current discourse surrounding the down low or DL suddenly characterized secretive bisexuality as being all but exclusive to black men. Interestingly enough, classical studies of bisexuality in the U.S. focus heavily on white men. Shocker. And according to that same study, black and Latino bisexual
Ooh, he looks like a bad boy.
Reinforces some of the sentiments around people DL being like, oh, DL men are being very dishonest to women about who they are and who they lay with. And you may be asking why that is. Well, a third crucial factor is the strong lack of acceptance of bisexuality and homosexuality in black communities that several researchers have noted. And the reason behind that is that it's likely that the strong association between masculinity and heterosexuality makes it difficult for ethnic minority men to openly explore same-sex sexual desires and develop a bisexual or homosexual identity. The research goes on to state that the strong association between masculinity and heterosexuality in black and Latino ethnic minorities should not be understood as an essential link because they cannot be seen independently from the social position of ethnic minorities. And for me, at least, I feel like it's true that there are vastly more queer people in comp-het couples due to society. And I feel like many of us contribute to that daily via the rhetoric that we both use on and offline. Bisexual people, and more specifically bisexual men, exist in droves. But a common thing that I hear from bisexual men is that it's harder for them to date or approach women if they are open about the fact that they've also been with or will continue to be with them. And I'm getting this straight from the source. I have dated plenty of bi men in my day. Who all share the similar sentiments of like being more romantically attracted to women and would ideally like to marry women, but the large stigma around being a bi man who engages in the other side of bi-ness becomes a sort of barrier to entry, and thus it is easier and more convenient to then continue to be with them. And honestly, I don't know how to feel about being told that as the man who was with the bisexual man at the time. Well, considering I'm single, I think that speaks for itself. And this isn't necessarily a call to this out, more so to call everyone in to have a real conversation about the belief internalized homophobia and misogyny that's turning people off. Or
I really want to kill him. Tell me I get the chance to kill him.
Or being attracted to them in the first place. I think recognizing this in ourselves is the first step, because that's just not my art business.
Okay, Lord, my plan is simple.
Whenever I talk about this, I always think of that clip of Molly.
It's a military encampment. I take it by force.
Because he said that he experimented with the guy once in college and decided that he wasn't into it. Like, that man made it clear that he was not even bi, but he still got the boot just for confirming that himself. Like, okay, biphobia is a real thing. Molly was running a strict program, you hear me? But the point I'm trying to make here is that it's hard to have a conversation around the rates of, like, men not living in their truth, while also the other side of things being punitive and mildly homophobic to those that getting to some of the reasons as to why people stay in the closet or are on the DL. You always see that sentiment of like when it comes to being bi, if you're a man, then you're just not confident enough to say that you're gay. But if you're a girl, you just want male attention, which is obviously for one just biphobic rhetoric, and two for both cases is implying that the goal is a man. But this sentiment is still pervasive in ideology. Even in that one episode of Insecure, the worry is that man who just experimented once, mind you, is just a DL man. And when it comes to bi acceptance and bi attraction, or lack thereof, the main reasons I see online from women saying it's a preference to not be with a bisexual man has to do with sexual health. Which, like, if you're with the partner that you're actually interested in and is mature and safe, that is something that you can easily check or get tested. And I think primarily it's really unfair and dangerous rhetoric to think that every bisexual or gay man instantly has a incurable disease like HIV. Like, yes, stay vigilant and care about your sexual health generally, but that right there is a massive and harmful generalization. Another thing that I hear is that it's just a preference to not want to date bisexual men. And y'all might not be ready for this one, but that's not a preference. That's a rule. And just homophobia. Like, please, what does that have to do with you if that man is with you? Honestly, what does it matter what he's done previously? Like, it's like the same mentality of someone deciding to not be with you based on your body count. Like, why does that matter? Especially if you're already keeping your sexual health in check. I actually saw a really great TikTok on the concept of, like, black masculinity and homosexuality, talking about how, like, the worst thing a black man can be is gay. Not me being public enemy number one.
There we go, man. I missed it. Very good. There we go. There we go. Now we're back on track. I think, I hope, maybe. And here I was about to rob the wrong place.
So the conversation goes further, stating that bisexuality itself is an attack on traditional black masculinity. And homosexuality, we already know, but bisexuality as well is something that's very frowned upon, both within black male-centered circles and in general society. And like, we don't need to get into the weeds or more so the roots of black masculinity and why that is such a strong thing, at least in America, because guess what? But yeah, okay, at this point in the video, we talk about guys, girls, and it's time to talk about gays. And more so bringing this all around the concept of gay or queer people being the butt of the joke, and ultimately the ones suffering the long-term consequences of this whole debate. At the end of the day, all this discourse just reinforces people's latent disapproval or problems with queerness and gay people. And at the core of the DL allegations or identifying sus or zesty men is a disdain for queer men. Even if the man in question is not gay themselves, they should rectify their behavior and abide by the antiquated patriarchal standards as to not be mistaken for gay. Like the concept of smiling in your gay bestie's face while also praying that your kids don't turn out to be gay themselves, and believing deep down that your friends are destined for hell, or preferring that your man isn't bisexual, is all just straight up homophobia, and we can't continue to sugarcoat it to save us. Normalizing sentiments like this only legitimizes and gets more people comfortable with the inevitable of gay rights and the rise of homophobia. Because right now, it's still in its coded messaging dog whistling stage, but as we know with most things that have followed this pattern over the past couple of years specifically,
Do you think that President Trump is a fascist?
and after President Trump said that, I said yes. The less we check it, the more comfortable we come around these ideas, the more overt the messaging will become. And
I'm coming, buddy.
And if you don't care about any of that, you make it personal. It's how we talk about the real life dangers.
There, I killed him. You just seriously should not be involved.
Especially from my LGBTQ brothers and sisters, there unfortunately is a real danger that comes with outing these individuals who aren't ready to be outed. And oftentimes, that could result in things like bodily harm or just flat out murder. Like, guys, come on, especially in the community.
I think that one you kind of killed.
So let's just leave these DL men alone. And that's not to protect them, that's to protect you. Two wrongs don't make it right. Outing someone really is never okay, and I thought we knew this. We never know people's situations, and while yes, being played by a DL man is not fun, whether you're a woman or the secret hookup, but please leave that man alone. And I know there are situations in which some people have built lives together. Maybe there are kids involved, and I wanted to say that cheating is not okay. Everyone has different circumstances and cannot possibly speak to them all. And when I'm speaking about this generally, I don't mean those extenuating circumstances. But if you do think that your man is DL and you're able to safely leave that situation, do so. While sexuality preferences can be problematic, you don't need to be a part of someone's process. If they themselves aren't ready to be who they are, you don't need to be a part of the process of helping them figure that out if you don't want to. But that also doesn't mean that you're entitled to out someone. because outed people can be very traumatic, further repress people, and or put them in severe danger. And while it's nice to think that we have completely overcome homophobia and now live in a society where it doesn't impact your daily life as a queer person, that unfortunately is far from the truth. The needle has certainly been pushed forward, but there is still a lot more work to be done and much to overcome, especially if you have intersectional identities. It impacts people from all levels, from personal life to career, especially when the internet is on a witch hunt. And I completely understand it can be easy to get caught up in it. And sometimes it could be really entertaining or even funny, but I think it's about time we check in with ourselves and see what kind of verbiage and rhetoric we're using online and in real life surrounding the queer community. Because at the end of the day, when that day gotta end, we do not have to live this way. These are all really just social constructs we created to uphold the patriarchal system that is obviously not working for any of us. Men, please release yourself from the shackles of homophobia and be yourself.
Buddy, what happened to High? God damn it, what happened to High? I can't do my thing if I'm worried about you.
Because yes, unfortunately, y'all commit this as well too. Okay? And to my gaze, leave that DL trade alone. Put that down so that we can all maximize our joint liberated and DL-free slate.
I'm getting real tired of you. I can't fucking move. I get that I can't always dodge, but not being able to move it. Okay, fuck it.
Would love to see an exchange of leadership in Venezuela, and yet even they're not fighting on it. Let me get this straight: no money for healthcare, food, or the American taxpayer, but unlimited money for more endless and pointless wars. No thanks. Let's get to Venezuela because endless amounts
Okay.
of time.
One more time. One more time.
Over and over again. So let's get to Donald Trump trying to invade Venezuela because he's bored and because he doesn't want people to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and because Venezuela has oil.
Nah, buddy, I ain't back this time. This time I'm just
Some
gonna
breaking news out of the
indulge.
U.S. now, where President Donald Trump has just announced the closure of the airspace.
Cause I'd have felt better if he had been right there behind me the whole time.
He's announced this in a Truth Social post.
Stay back.
What all this means. Essentially, the post from the U.S. President Donald Trump says that this is a warning to airlines, to pilots, I assume both commercial and general aviation, drug dealers and human traffickers, that the U.S. is declaring the airspace over Venezuela. Of course, the U.S. is not in control of Venezuela, but the U.S. is considering the airspace closed until further notice. It does not say exactly how the U.S. is going to enforce this. What we have seen, perhaps most famously in the case of the closure of the airspace over Iraq from the 1980s on until the wars that began in 2003, was that the U.S. military was charged with controlling the airspace around the Iraqi borders in order to prevent any air traffic from crossing or going in and out of that country. We do not know if that is going to be the case here with the United States. It had been reported on Friday by the New York Times that late in the week of November.
Damn it, buddy. Why are you just... Come on, man. If you're gonna fucking circle me like a goddamn dog.
With Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan president, where it's...
The fuck hell are you? God. Fuck damn it. Okay, I thought I was dead on the last hit, but why is Big Dude just... Why? He's the first time I've genuinely felt like, oh, okay, so this game has escort missions. Like, I guess I gotta do this stealthy. Like, don't have a choice, gotta do it stealthy, because otherwise Big Idiot's gonna come running in and block every hit I got. Shut the fuck up, idiot. Let's go.
And of course,
I
the
fucking
very
hate
same
this.
losers that wrote extensively on regime change in Iraq, regime change in Iran, are now advocating for regime change in Venezuela. Shouts out to Bret Stephens of the New York Times. Now you might be wondering, how did Bret Stephens get this wrong every single time? And how does he still have a job?
Just slip in through the back.
This willingness to demand more American imperialism. That is the reason why he has the job at the New York Times to begin with. These statements are not seen as failures in analysis, but instead propaganda, necessary propaganda from the great lady, the paper of record, the New York Times. He's just doing his job. Can you check the comments? U.S. military intervention is a horrible idea. I'm not really sure what kind of military action Brett is envisioning. Airstrikes that won't work and could cause a rally around the flag effect. Limited ground invasion of Caracas and its immediate environs. This is a city too big and a result very risky for U.S. soldiers. Full-scale invasion, not with 15,000 troops. Democracy and relief from long-suffering endured by the Venezuelan people will not be brought about by another regime change nation-building operation with deployment of our troops from U.S. Southern Command stationed in Doral, a.k.a. Doralzuela, based on elite exiles. The first wave established their faithful Trump voters. This is not Trump instigated with Secretary of State Marco Rubio's plan to go into Venezuela first. Trump is a deal maker. He believes in escalation and negotiate. Indeed, diplomacy is the most viable way to make changes with a concomitant lift of sanctions that affect the poor. Rubio is friend and ally to Nobel winner Maria Machado, who has demonstrated through her actions to be all in for violence and right-wing rule, exhibited in the 2002 coup attempt against Chavez. Her singing Carmona decree that would dissolve Congress, constitution violent protests were right-wing civilians in 2014 and 2017, and now rallies in Madrid for Trump-style sweep of Europe. She's openly aligned with Bolsonaro, Milei, and Netanyahu. America first, make it a reality, not a cover-up to promote the spread of fascism. Use our taxpayer money to fix problems at home first, not abroad. We need regime change here, perhaps. So who's trying to get richer off this one? The usual suspects, no doubt. Let's just drop the pretense. In the last several decades of American wars are not for noble reasons at all, and drain more of our taxpayer dollars with nothing to return. But these are the New York Times liberals, who also despise Maduro and would love to see an exchange of leadership in Venezuela. And yet, even they're not fighting on it. Let me get this straight. No money for healthcare, food, or the American taxpayer, but unlimited money for more endless and pointless wars. No thanks. I'm telling you right now, this is precisely the reason why any Democrat that makes a big fuss about this is going to do LeBron numbers. And yet the Democrats are also a part of this uniparty, because American foreign policy is uniparty. Just like private healthcare is uniparty. There is bipartisan consensus on capitalism. There's bipartisan consensus on imperialism. Okay? This does not need to happen. And I'm not speaking to the politicians when I say this. I'm speaking to you, the average American person, the average American voter, when I'm speaking to you about this. Okay? This does not have to be the case. People need to make a bigger fuss about this. People need to force their politicians to make a bigger fuss about this. AOC needs to be out and about, getting ahead of this movement, being a leader in this movement, if she has ambitions of higher office, for example. Kudos for Bret Stephens for objective evaluation of the ground realities emerging from the recent announcement. Oh my God. If you keep advocating for the overthrow of governments you don't like, maybe one day you will get one right. Number one, are we not done overthrowing strongmen when we do not have a plan for the power vacuum that follows? See Iraq, Libya. Number two, it's their country, none of our business. It's such a foolish and childlike analysis of this column. Open President, the 100 gift sub. Thank you, Open President. The Frank Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Open President, another 25 gift subs earlier.
Did not expect that to work.
Biker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Your voluntary contributions in the form of subscriptions is the only way you can support the Biker Broadcasting Service. Run no ads on the Biker Broadcasting Service. Yeah, the Powell Doctrine still stands.
I'd love it if I could hit buttons right. That one's on me though, not on you.
20% to have privatized Social Security like Australia. Dual mandate hog. The middle class should pay more taxes. God, I love the extreme liberalism. This is like a radical liberal right here. The case for Venezuelan intervention is much stronger than the case for invading Iraq. I'm sure at the time of Iraq, if this person was...
God damn it, the amount of good you're doing me, you could have just held back. You are becoming a burden.
Or the case for intervention in Vietnam,
Can you not just hide right the fuck here until I get done killing things? No, I gotta get up in the middle of it. Why? You're not. You're just blocking my fucking shots, jackass. Hide.
Make no mistake. Make no mistake. Just like when Israel started its genocide or accelerated
If
its
that's
genocide,
so, then why are you running?
and it took 2 years for
Oh, you fucking
Europe to
asshole.
ever make a fuss about it.
Fuck it, go get yourself killed. I'll revive you when I get a fucking chance.
Germany immediately started sending weapons back to Israel as soon as this so-called ceasefire was implemented. They do not have any interest in ever criticizing America. They like America's imperialism. They even if they have an issue with American imperialism at any point, they will never make a big fuss about it. Don't be crazy. They do not give a shit. Okay? Anyway, let's continue.
According to those who were sourcing the story, the two men were talking about perhaps having a face-to-face meeting here in the United States and were perhaps discussing ways to try to reduce tensions between the two countries. The U.S., as our viewers know, has been very angry with Venezuela. It blames Venezuela not just for fueling what the U.S. calls an unprecedented migration crisis, but also by fueling the fentanyl addiction crisis here in the United States by efforting the trafficking of that illegal substance into U.S. territory and resulting in the addiction of hundreds of thousands of Americans. The U.S. has also long been very unhappy with Nicolas Maduro being the president of Venezuela. The Biden administration had considered his re-election in 2024 to be illegal. The Trump administration has continued that posture and has strongly signaled that it would like to see Maduro removed from power. So, Rosalind, what do we think this all means? I mean, especially considering that over the past few weeks there's been...
we want to tackle the fentanyl opioid overdose crisis in the United States of America, so we're just going to bomb a country that has nothing to do with it. This is cool.
An increase, I would say, in the number of military personnel in the region. Well, it's probably not a good sign for the Venezuelan government, if I were to speculate. It is worth also pointing out that on Thursday and Friday, the U.S. Defense Secretary, or Secretary of War, as he likes to call himself, Pete Hegseth, was on board the USS Gerald R. Ford, which is the aircraft carrier that has been deployed to the Caribbean Sea in international waters, but not far from Venezuela. Part of that military show of force to perhaps intimidate the Venezuelan government from carrying out what the U.S. says are illegal criminal narcotics activities. But this is certainly part of, does that mean that military action carried out by the United States is imminent? We can't say that, but certainly it's one more piece of circumstantial evidence that the U.S. is trying to put very overt, very blatant pressure on the Venezuelan government and not just use diplomatic language to try to change course in that country.
Scout camps. Arctic and his men have successfully set up camps across the river. They are well hidden in good line of sight in either direction. On our side, we have men standing guard awaiting their signal, a flaming arrow shot into the sky. Any Danish longship that comes through will be caught in a relentless crossfire. We will sink their ships and take aim at the survivors with lethality as they try to swim to shore. Okay.
Republicans are very disturbed by this campaign on trying to deal with
That sounds like they're setting themselves a wee bit of a trap.
Law enforcement action with the U.S. Coast Guard basically interdicting these vessels allegedly carrying narcotics.
Yeah, shame if something happened to them before they could, wouldn't it?
To U.S. officials for prosecution as opposed to carrying out these strikes without notice, without any legal authority on these vessels. And in recent days, we've seen more people, especially on Capitol Hill, but also in the legal community, raising very serious questions about whether the U.S. is carrying out war crimes by basically targeting people without any due diligence and basically acting as judge and jury rather than going through the long-established, decades-long process of arresting and then prosecuting people for criminal behavior. Rosalind, stand by for just a moment, because
as you were saying, the U.S. has been rapidly increasing its military presence in the Caribbean. Since August, more than 10,000 American soldiers.
Do you think China has any interest in intervention? I mean, ironically enough, a lot of these initiatives, or the domino theory by dismantling Venezuela and then kicking up a wave of destabilization through tens of millions of people displaced in Venezuela that will go to all these other Latin American countries, is directly done to extract all the oil with no regulatory control or no kickbacks to the fucking Venezuelan population whatsoever, but also to move South American countries away from aligning with China.
I
Having
feel
said
like
that,
this still
however, I
counts as
don't think
stealth.
China will do anything about this. Who knows? Maybe they will, but I just don't see China doing anything about this, regardless, because China notoriously does not engage in proxy wars with the United States of America, even if it's an ally or at least like a regional partner that that would that they would benefit greatly from aiding, or at least like leaning into. No, China does a lot internationally. It's just not their policy to intervene against America in these proxy wars. At most, they will offer some support to Russia. Russia is much more hands-on in terms of the direct intervention that they engage in, but Russia is also not China and has a lot less capacity to do so, especially because they're currently fucking waging war in Ukraine. Never did you create a Vietnam? I mean, are we really? You think China now resembles China in the Vietnam era? It's like saying, oh, what about Korea? Yeah, I'm talking about modern People's Republic of China, okay? The established hegemonic superpower. Not hegemonic, but like the established superpower challenging the hegemonic superpower of the United States of America.
Soldiers and fighter jets have been deployed near Venezuela. This is the largest deployment of U.S. forces in the region in decades. U.S. Navy's largest aircraft carrier, the Gerald R-4, has arrived in the southern Caribbean, and this is the largest ship of its kind in the world.
You think South America will try to intervene? I feel like completely dominated Venezuelan oil reserve. You mean South Africa or like South America? Would try to intervene. None of these countries have the capacity to intervene against the United States of America. Don't be crazy. Saudi Arabia? No. At most, you'll see posturing against American imperialism from other Latin American countries, but I don't think they will actually. I don't think they'll actually militarily engage with American soldiers. I mean, that's crazy.
With its own air wing of more than 75 fighter jets, helicopters, and early warning aircraft. And a Navy destroyer carrying guided missiles, helicopters, and Marines has also arrived in Trinidad and Tobago near Venezuela's coast. Venezuela has put its armed forces on high alert, deploying thousands of troops and reported 5,000 Russian-made missiles across the country to counter the buildup. And now, what we hear in the past 30 minutes or so is the U.S. President Donald Trump announcing the closure of the airspace above Venezuela. Rosalind, was this expected at all? And do we know why now?
It was not expected. We don't know why. We are trying to reach out to sources across the U.S. government to find out exactly what is happening. I should note that after he made that post about the U.S.'s closure of Venezuelan airspace, he has now posted about a completely unrelated topic, the ongoing issue of tariffs on goods being imported and sold into the United States. So we don't know if this is actual military action that is about to happen, or whether this is one of the statements that the president is prone to make as he very actively and very publicly carries out his foreign policy. This is not a government that does things in quiet negotiations and in many summits in world capitals. This is a man who very much says what he believes ought to happen, and he goes right to the U.S. public and to the global public through his social media channel.
Okay, Rosalind, we'll let you go for now. Thank you so much for that reporting.
Trump doesn't have the political capital for an invasion, can easily destroy Zambia and a legacy. This is why I suspect pressure campaign, but they can just go all in. Yeah, but also he's a madman and desperate for deflection, and the people in his ear, the people that he trusts, the sycophants in his ear, like Marco Rubio, might be feeding him wrong information. saying, "Oh, Mr. President," they'll actually rally around you, just like they're telling him, like, "Oh, this is good for both oil and also for stamping out drugs." I don't even know anymore. I don't know. I don't think these guys are making accurate calculations anyway. How is he going to sell pardoning Honduras narco trafficking former leader to his MAGA base? They don't give a shit about that. It's Honduras. Many of them will never even hear about it. I mean, with the way that Donald Trump operates, though, I think the more likely scenario is like trying to get Venezuela to concede with limited airstrikes or something like that, which is horrible. I mean, it's horrifying to think of, but like an Iran-style situation, so he can present himself as like the great deal maker, the great negotiator. 15,000 troops are I don't think enough to do a ground invasion of Caracas or Venezuela in general. So it kind of feels like it's more so an aggressive militant posture against Venezuela, with the hopes that they can just thwart Maduro and install the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner as a puppet leader. Yeah, the three people that are pushing for it in the admin are Rubio, Miller, and Ratcliffe. They're the ones who are aggressively and very hawkishly trying to do regime change. To all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. That's how he announced it. Yeah. Trump administration officials assert Venezuela's leader Nicolas Maduro sits atop a cartel network. He has insisted the country does not export drugs. Breath has no ideological interest in this beyond being a dick rider of Donald Trump and fulfilling whatever ambition that Donald Trump has here. This is an older story, all the way back in September, by the way. The push by top aides to President Trump to remove Nicolas Maduro as the leader of Venezuela has intensified in recent days, with the administration officials discussing a broad campaign that would escalate military pressure to try to force him out. Anyway, so that's there is no serious opposition to this, which is expected, I guess. I'm so cynical about all this stuff and the lack of interest from liberals in general. Very frustrating, but
Washington, D.C. We'll speak to Al Jazeera's Latin America editor, Lucia Newman. Lucia, you're joining us from Santiago in Chile on the telephone. Can you tell us if you've seen any official reaction, first of all, from the Venezuelan government to this development?
Nicholas went to Sioux culture, they worked out, whatever. Bradley Martin, I know for a fact, would get more shit if he were to do a similar thing with me.
Children behave. Ronan, do not start a fight.
All of these other right-wing accounts and right-wing associated accounts, all of these cultures that dominate cultural critique on the internet have more smoke for someone like myself than they do for someone like Nick Fuentes. Have you been online? Oh yeah, I've been meaning to watch this. And we don't have a lot of time until my guests arrive, but I will watch as much as I can. Infiltrating Nick Fuentes' Royber Army. It's a banger made from Bitman and Eric Hovigan. Listening back to the past couple of months, you may have heard a word that you were unfamiliar with. Reuters. Named after a version of the viral epic fraud game, Reuters are a vastly grown subset of the far right, led by none other than commentator Nicholas J. Fuentes.
Your best friends in life are the most Asperger's, autistic, racist people you meet on the internet. Those are your best friends.
So, if you're not familiar with Nick's content and ideology, let me lay down his beliefs before we go any further. Nick Fuentes is a white Christian nationalist who says the quiet part of the modern-day American conservative movement out loud.
And yet, if she were a little bit more racist, she'd be alive.
He is nativist, sexist, Islamophobic, homophobic, anti-Semitic, and a Holocaust denier. And Nick and his beliefs have been quickly reshaping the new alt-right. But what separates Nick from other right-wing pundits is he can be hypercritical of Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and Israel. But don't be fooled, because it's not for the same reasons that you've come to know.
I have a hot take about it, of course. Spoiler alert, that has to do with the Jews in Israel.
And we'll be getting to that. Nick also isn't afraid to criticize popular conservative pundits like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and even Charlie Kirk.
It's a good thing Charlie Kirk.
I saw a really funny clip about this, for example, complaining that every major
It's good to help set
knows exactly why Candace
and get some skill points while we do it. Ain't bad.
and it's because she's evil and all the other major conservative pundits are scared to be just as evil or whatever, and it's just because like she's anti-Israel. Like that's it. That's literally it.
His daughter was born to a rich man in America who lies for a living and is paid by billionaires to do it, and wasn't born in Gaza.
The spread of Nick's influence isn't slowing down anytime soon, and it seems to be quickly reshaping the future of the Republican Party post-Trumpism, whenever that may be. So today, I want to try to understand why Nick is becoming so popular and really seemingly right in the right space. But most importantly, and probably why you clicked on this video, is I want to see if I can could you take Nick's language, charm, and bluntness, turn it on? Can I use the Groyper language to convince thousands of young, angry white guys that it isn't actually a Guatemalan immigrant who's the one raising their friends? But you know what they say?
Good line. Good line, Brandon.
Sometimes to truly understand someone, you must first become one. As a matter of fact, you couldn't name 5 countries. You couldn't tell me what continent China is in.
This feels like a Marvel crossover movie.
Or
Who knows, maybe that's like step 1 to radicalizing them. I want this guy dead. We're fighting for our civilization. I'm just excited to become a Groyper. Hey, it's been a minute. And today I'm going to infiltrate Nick Fuentes' Groyper.
You swear all bro, come on, chatter. There's a reason why I say what I say, so that others say it too. There's no such thing as that. It's all about this. All our talking points, comrade.
When you're infiltrating the system, you have to wear a mask. And you have to assume an identity. Society. It's tough.
Alright, well, I think a good place to start trying to understand Nick is to watch it where most people watch it. And where most people discover it.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to ignore you in chat. Let me see what you said.
Mainstream sites, YouTube, his content has been
Hello, Regis by you.
shorts, reels, and TikToks. Those are my
I am sadly not. I am currently playing on my laptop, which is why it's a bit glitchy. Are you still there at the moment?
Okay, so from first glance, I guess I kind of get the appeal of some of this content. I mean, if I had no idea who this guy was and I just saw this,
all you have is your phone.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to ignore you. I just can't see chat on the other screen, because in order to play it, I gotta swap into the screen proper. But no, it's on the laptop, and it has been a very fun game, minus these bits. Which, admittedly, if I weren't trying to stream it live, it'd probably be running a bit smoother. I got everything set on medium, I want to say now.
Whether you love or hate him, Trump and his administration is becoming more unpopular every day. I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't think that the Republican Party can survive without Trump.
Building his stuff up
One
first.
day, who knows when, but one day, there will be no Trump. The Republican Party is going to have to find a new identity post that. Well, I believe Nick knows this.
Absolutely.
And is planning and laying the groundwork for what comes next for American conservatives. And I promise you, it's not going to be J.D. Vance. Nick and I can both agree on that.
J.D. Vance was created by
Hell yeah.
lordship, created by Palantir.
So far, Nick has been able to fill the gaps.
Hell yeah, I love this dude. Give me about 5 minutes, y'all, and I'll be right back. I just gotta run to the bathroom right quick before we do our ramping raid. Okay. Yeah, we got plenty of time. I think the thing ain't heating up too bad. I'll be right back, y'all.
Makes sense from a Groyper perspective because he capitulated to them so much on so many things. To them, this role was a legitimizer of Groyper shit that the right-wing powers that be would have fought against if he wasn't signing off on them. Yeah. The difference is Israel. That's it. The difference is public attitude against Israel. For the longest time, when people, by the way, talk about like Nick Fuentes being debanked or whatever, from what I understand, because I saw a clip of him actually explaining the situation, the reason why he got debanked wasn't because of his will. The reason why he got debanked was because of January 6th. Because he got gifted Bitcoin to the tune of 250 right before January 6th, as a matter of fact, from a foreign donor. Okay? And then he participated in January 6th. So the administration that was investigating all of the top actors, top participants in January 6th, saw that and obviously froze all of his assets in the process of that investigation. Then they concluded their investigation. They found that it was like some French hacker who I guess was giving money to, or at least this is
statement about it, but it was a French hacker that had stolen a bunch of money from other people, and before he committed suicide, he sent these gift donations these gift donations to a bunch of people that were quote unquote defending Western civilization from his perspective. Anyway, so that's the reason why he was debanked, not because he was like saying the truth about Israel, but you could say that he was censored from all social media platforms.
Alrighty, we're back. Here's my mic. We're back, we're back. Find the pieces of St. George's legendary armor in the River Ix. 2 pieces. The armor pieces are kept in certain large military encampments. Okay. River defenses raiding the river will temporarily raise its difficulty level, and you will encounter more physical defenses the next time you raid there. Diversify your river raids to find the path of least resistance.
Disenfranchise young people who are starting to doubt Trump's leadership and overall plan for the country. Through economic rhetoric, Nick speaks to relatable problems.
River Raid Crew. Your River Raid longship has its own crew of Viking raiders. Vikings can be assigned to your main longship or the River Raid longship, but can only serve one crew at a time. Crew hire. Hit that button accidentally. The rank of each Viking corresponds to their combat power and the number of rations they can carry in river raids. Upgrade your Viking hull to recruit higher ranked Vikings for your crew. Vikings who fell in battle during the river raid cannot be reassigned to the raiding crew until they recover. If you don't have enough healthy Vikings for a full raiding crew, go recruit more from the Viking hull. Yeah, it looks like everybody's alright. Go through this. I like that one's big pointy hat.
Bradley Martin, I know for a fact, would get more shit if he were to do a similar thing with me than with Nick Fuentes. One must ask the question why. Perhaps it's because all of the apolitical centrists and all of these other
Off we go, a raid. Let's hope we all don't die.
On the internet have more smoke for someone like myself than they do for someone like Nick Fuentes. Okay, because Nick Fuentes himself is a creature of the right, or a creature of the internet, rather. Sorry, that is the reality. I know for a fact that Bradley Martin would get more shit for doing a video with someone like myself.
Longship cargo hold. Upgrade the River Raid longship cargo hold to bring more foreign supplies back from each river raid. Rank perks. I missed that one. We'll get it done. We're gonna raid the whole river if we can. And honestly, with everything being set on medium, I might have to go low. I hope I don't have to go low. But with everything being set on medium, it ain't too bad.
This is the same thing that happened with Tucker Carlson when he was on Fox News. He was doing the same WASP nationalist, white supremacist commentary. That was the only game in town for any sort of left popular sentiment, any sort of pro-worker sentiment. MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, all of the liberal outlets were antagonistic towards a class-first politics. Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson on the far right was able to do that on Fox News. So many people gravitated towards that because class-first politics or pro-working class politics is successful. It's popular. It's the largest group that we're talking about. In the past, before Nick Fuentes, Ben Shapiro did a similar thing. At the time, when TYT was, the biggest name in progressive news, many people had hatred for TYT that they did not have for the likes of Ben Shapiro or the likes of Jordan Peterson.
Alrighty.
This is how these guys create a robust network of center-right to far-right to straight
immediately to the arrows.
Constantly cross-pollinating amongst themselves. Okay? Meanwhile, the left is consistently fighting amongst itself. The left is consistently trying to undermine whatever the most visible version of the left actually looks like because he's not perfect or because I watched one too many clips or one too many different influencers that decided that this person is actually bad and secretly a fascist. This is just the unfortunate reality. Okay? This is how it works. There's more people who hate us on, let's hate us on, centrists neo-Nazi, white supremacist, Holocaust denier who is against race mixing. And I know for a fact that while I have a much larger profile than Nick Fuentes broadly, I also have much much more robust force of haters than Nick Fuentes does. Because think about how many times I don't know, all these slop tubers have actually covered Nick Fuentes. How many times have they done?
Dude, you have to burn it down. I get it. I get it.
How many times have they covered Nick Fuentes? Some of them are friends with Nick Fuentes. This is how it works. If the apolitical dullards actually get their political notes from slop tubers, okay? If they get their political notes from slop tubers, and those slop tubers are all in unison, constantly shitting on me, and they spend zero time shitting on Nick Fuentes, who is literally a Holocaust denier, why would the random young, apolitical people that get their political notes from these dipshits ever feel like Nick Fuentes
I was kind of expecting them to do something when I hit the sing button, but I don't think these guys can sing yet.
Other people in mainstream news say it's controversial, and they don't give a shit about mainstream news. Mainstream
Here
news has
comes
no
the next
motion.
target,
Mainstream
though.
news has no
Hold
motion for
on to
people
your
under the age of
butts.
35, and especially for people under the age of 35. They are getting their information from slop tubers and TikTokers. And if those TikTokers are spending way more time shitting on the largest left-wing content creator and consistently saying, oh, socialism means he needs to be poor, but I'm saying that as a leftist and I'm not a reactionary right-winger, or any number of different idiotic things that they find to make content around, then of course people are not going to develop any sort of resentment towards Nick Fuentes. He's going to be able to get through that process. Weird people look about Bradley Martin in the YouTube commentary sphere. That's why the disgusting folk who get less shit. The online commentary drama sphere is right-wing. Exactly. That's my point. And the same reason that is also precisely the same reason why Jonathan Greenblatt has focused more on me than him. What's good?
Alright, let's go for it. What the fuck is this Captain America bullshit? Oh, I see what I did there. Crap. Although it kind of works. I'm just not in the mood for that kind of playthrough. Maybe on the next one we'll do a cat playthrough. That could be fun. Alright, let's try this again, this time with weapons.
So often in games, we worry about the guns,
I feel like we did better as cat.
or the maniacal villains. But today I want to shed light on something lesser seen and talked about regarding death and tragedy in games. I'm talking about disease, infection, viruses, plagues, parasites, and so much more, each of which inflict their own horrors beyond the imagination of their host. So here is a deep dive and analysis of the deadliest and most twisted diseases and
Oh,
contagions that have ever inflicted
damn it.
us in the video games world. Because after all,
My
the
phone,
worst
mate.
way to go in this life is not by death, but by pain.
American cities, with a biological contamination crisis that began in rural communities has now spread to major urban areas with devastating consequences. In the past 6 hours, right now, the latest thing, which is
Alright, let's try again. Do I get to do the whole thing or do I have to pay again to try again? I think I gotta pay again to try again.
Only Canadian flags, only the maple leaf, and you can see this right here. It turns out she has been pro-Israeli.
Maybe not, as I have not yet re-equipped the new stuff.
Obviously, granted, she brought Israeli flags right here, speaking on a megaphone. That's someone who's got the Israeli flag draped around them. Here's another photo.
No saint. Arrived. This myth is repeated so often that questioning it is treated as heresy. But it has become a shield that excuses failure, blocks accountability, and funnels billions of tax dollars into black holes of corruption with little to show for it. In no serious country would it be normal for governments to
Wait, see what happens.
Treatment plan work. So, I just want to quickly debunk everything it says because they are racist lies. And I can start with the fact that the myth of indigenous people being these noble cultures is a form of racism. There's different forms of calling indigenous people a monolith because there's so many different cultures, languages, societies, and bands. And in
That's depressing.
Tribes,
We get nothing for our efforts. Seems like the game's probably about to freaking crash. Let's see what's going on in this thing.
That the country sucks, not because of capitalism, not because of billionaires, not because of corporations taking up all the resources, but because of indigenous people who are stealing all the money from new hardware.
It sounds like there we go.
And the idea that all the money gets taken from the government and then given to reserves, and then the reserves have all of these tribal leaders or band leaders who unfortunately squander all the cash is 100% a lie. It's the federal government actually that doles out the amount of money that they give to Indian reserves in Canada, and they're also the ones that kept it at a very low amount intentionally as part of systemic racism. That amount is 2%, and it was always said that it needs to be more, but it's always been inadequate in being able to deal with the problems of all the reserves in the country. The reserves of all the indigenous bands in Canada, they are groups of people far away from white folk, essentially is the idea, and then we push them into very, very remote areas, and then usually squish a lot of different bands together, as in people who have different languages, people with different cultures, and they're forced to live in the same area. And then those
I don't know what's going on with the stream thing. I'm trying to get it not to max out. But alright, let's go back to it on the big
screen. So this is actually a problem with the federal government. There's very few autonomous, and this is what's important, autonomous bands that actually get to dictate what they do with their own money, what they do with their own land, what they do with their own resources. The majority of them is called the Indian Act in Canada, and that means the federal government actually is to oversee how much money they give them, how much they allocate at any given time for them to spend on hospitals, schools, infrastructure, and it's always been a pittance. And so this idea that they get given billions of dollars, and those billions of dollars get stolen by corrupt leaders who then keep it all for themselves, enrich themselves, and then just live off all of this wealth, and then while the rest of the people suffer, that's where the whole racist line comes in.
Meanwhile, many chiefs and administrators presiding over these communities live in comfort and drive luxury SUVs. No auditor pushes too hard, no politician asks where the money went, because it's easier to just repeat the same script. Blame Canadians, cut a check, and hope that nobody notices where the money is going. The infantilization runs deeper than just budgets. Look at Richmond, BC, where private property is now being seized by the state because a tribe fished there centuries ago.
Also, a lie. No one sees the private property. This was a land dispute between two different indigenous bands, and that's still something that's going to be settled in higher courts. But as of right now, the Cowichan tribe said, just flat out, no one lives in their homes. There's actually not been a battle victory that's been won in Canada where people have gone marched this land, and the property was lost. I can give you an example. The richest parts of Vancouver just got given a land back victory by the Squamish Nation, and that area has a lot of the most expensive homes in Vancouver, right on the beachfront properties kind of stuff. And a lot of the rich folks there, especially these folks that are shooting, and they're like, oh my god, we're all going to lose our mansions, they're going to be repossessed by the institutions and all this kind of stuff. Never happened. People got to keep their very fancy homes. The land title, instead of going to the King of England, which is when you buy a house in Canada, your land title is actually owned by the King of England. Technically, it's owned by what's called the Crown. In this case, it actually is now owned by the Indigenous band, but you keep your property. They get to decide what to do with the land in terms of building upon it, resource allocation, extraction. So that's what happens. And what they did in Squamish, in Vancouver, but then now what is called Squamish Nation territory, they built a whole bunch of houses. That was what happened there, and it's pretty cool. They're not done yet, but the buildings are already up, and I'm sure we passed them. They're enormous buildings, and it's going to be a mix of low income social housing, but also expensive housing because it's they're determined so what they want to do with their land, and they're going to be building lots and lots of property.
Got best bets on for trying to try the river raid.
While this stuff is exploding popularity in the country right now, it's all
We'll
based
try
on
one
lies.
more
It's
time,
the
I
same as the United
guess.
States for people
Not as if we don't have the silver for it.
with they get passed off to people who don't have as much power in society because it's way easier to get everyone to band together and to vilify them. So in America, you get immigrants, you get trans kids, and it's the same thing here, but there's a much bigger focus in Canada and the far right here on Indigenous people and on the battle going on between Indigenous people fighting for their rights, for their land, etc. And this idea that there is a lot of poor Canadians, and that is true. 1 in 4 Canadians right now lives with food insecurity, which is a massive problem. That does need to be addressed. And rather than actually try and help, rather than provide better social safety nets or school lunch programs for kids or things like that, you can turn all your anger towards Indigenous people who are stealing all of your land, who are also stealing all of your money because your tax dollars go towards paying them, and then they're wasting all the money, and they live in poverty, and there's all this addiction, and there's all this crime, and so we keep throwing money at the problem, and it's not fixing anything. And the truth is, no, historically, for years in Canada, the amount that has been given to Indigenous services is so little that they have been struggling because the federal government has intentionally been keeping them in poverty. This has been done with intent. This is why, when I talk about this, I bring up systemic racism and I bring up the fact that this is a system working as it's intended, and that same system is then being blamed for other people's poverty. And there is a lot, and I'll repeat this, a lot of poor white people in Canada and a lot of poor white people struggling, but the cause of their struggles is not Indigenous people. Just like the cause of the struggles of poor white people in America is not foreigners, is not immigrants who are coming into the country and taking all the jobs. This vilification works really well because on the base level, everyone's already got a leadership program inside them. It's very easy to sit there and be like, life sucks, why is it? Well, it's the government taking your money. Right, but then do you get some stuff for it? You get some infrastructure. I think it's okay, right? But they also give a lot of it to immigrants. Did you know that? They take your money in the form of taxation, and then they give it to lazy people who just live off fudge rounds. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect is they take your money and they give it to foreigners. Yeah, illegals come into the country, they get here, they get free healthcare, free housing. That's the reason there's a housing crisis. It's because the illegals keep coming into the country and stealing other stuff. In Canada, the reason there's a housing crisis is because our land keeps getting taken by Indigenous people. Same story, just working over and over. Well, guess who's protected the whole time?
Yeah, and this will probably be the last raid we do. I really want to try out the new Star Trek game I just downloaded. See if it's fit for stream. Because the last one I downloaded just was absolutely not. Then again, maybe I should just delete, well, not delete, but, back all the games out except for the one that I'm currently playing. And maybe that would free up enough space to make it run a bit smoother. I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to make it work better.
Relatively benign, and other people will share it.
There are raids, Vikings who fall in battle.
Share this line.
Right.
And so we built this country. We didn't steal it. We built it. We made the roads. We made all this kind of stuff, and it's working. This stuff is going viral. This has 1.3 billion views, 14,000 likes. A lot of people, some of them might not even
Right, different river, new, weaker defenses this time. Give it a shot.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not true. But what was the country before? It was nothing, right? It was a bunch of savages just killing each other and cannibalizing one another and stuff like that. And then we came over and we built roads, we built the railroads, we brought the NyQuil, all this wonderful stuff. And they should be thankful instead of always trying to make us feel guilty. I'm tired of the guilt. Which brings us to ostrich farm. This story I'm only bringing up because there's protests down in the country.
Oh, God, damn it.
And I heard
Travis again.
Basically, a complete Canadian-wide protest in support of the ostriches. And
there we go.
Story. There was an ostrich farm, which probably wouldn't have been a story at all. But here's how it goes, and these are the actual facts, by the way. This ostrich farm was not taking care of their ostriches. They raised ostriches to be slaughtered for meat, for oil, for other materials that you get from ostriches, including dog bones, by the way. And so that was what they were doing. They would raise ostriches, they would sell the ostriches for processing. Those ostriches would get slaughtered, and they would sell them. And that was the thing they did on a regular basis. Some of the ostriches caught avian flu, and they did not take care of them. They didn't do proper isolation procedures. Now, you don't necessarily, I thought you would just get an instant call. Like if you get avian flu, all the ostriches would just have to die. That's not even the full story. They were given the opportunity to actually take care of the ostriches. One of the ostriches has avian flu. You have to isolate it from the rest of the herd, and then you have to do testing and get the testing overseen to make sure all the other birds have contracted to it. The other interesting part about ostriches is that unlike chickens or their small poultry, they actually can survive avian flu a lot better. They're more resilient. They live a lot longer. They have long lifespans. So they're an animal that can actually overcome getting avian flu. The problem is if a bird lands into the farm, gets avian flu, then flies away to another farm, lands in there, and then keeps a bunch of chickens avian flu, that's how avian flu spreads into your meat supply. So avian flu is taken very seriously. Here's what happened. The farmers had a couple birds that got avian flu. They didn't take care of them. Then a lot of their birds got avian flu. Then their birds started dying. They were witnessing the ostriches bloating, getting diarrhea, vomiting, and then keeling over. And then finally, someone called it in. An anonymous person was walking by and was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is going on there? There's all these birds that are like swelling, bloating, shitting, puking all over the place. Something's very fucked up there. So they called it in. Then the government got involved. And then at that point, they came in and were like, hey, by the way, your ostriches have avian flu. You need to take care of them. And they were given ample opportunity to do that. They said, hey, you have to follow proper safety procedures. Please isolate your ostriches, put the healthy ones here, put the unhealthy ones here, take care of them. We're just going to ask you to do, again, very basic measures to ensure that your herd and your flock is healthy and safe. And they didn't. Instead, they decided to turn this into a cause, a right-wing cause. They reached out to all the right-wing media in Canada, including Rebel News, who made a huge story out of it, which then reached American media. And once American pundits found out about this, they did what they always do. I can't believe the communist dictators in Canada are forcing these humble farmers who are just trying to make a living to go to slaughter their birds. This is disgusting. Shame on all of you. And that story got promoted on the right a lot here. And people, by the way, who didn't know the full story yet, myself included, I don't want to see ostriches die. I don't want to see the government come in and shoot a bunch of birds. It sounds horrible. I would rather the ostriches not get shot in the face. That also sounds very, very sad. So I'm not going to sit there and really talk about this while the right wing was just concentrating on the story. And I was like, I feel bad for the birds, but ultimately, it's a safety procedure. I thought it was as simple as one bird was detected with avian flu, and then they had to kill them all, and the farmers didn't want them to die. And for the first time ever, the right wing cared about animal welfare. A bunch of people camped outside the ostrich farm. A bunch of people were basically turning this into a cause. They were like living there 24/7 with megaphones and speakers, yelling at the neighbors and the other people who live there. Very quiet community. They got really upset. They were committing acts of violence. One woman had gasoline doused on her house.
Well, we had heard just yesterday from President Maduro saying that the United States was increasing its what he called excuses and lies to try to justify an intervention in Venezuela. And that was before this announcement was made by President Trump. But I can say that the Trump administration has been systematically increasing the pressure on the Maduro government, while at the same time we have been hearing or reading, I should say, about attempts by President Trump to have a phone conversation with Nicolás Maduro. This has not been confirmed, but it is being widely reported that this conversation did take place in order to have some kind of a face-to-face meeting. Again, this has not been confirmed, but so he's sort of going hot and cold. But what clearly this Thursday on Monday, he declared the so-called Cartel of the Soles, a narco-terrorist organization, which he says is led by Nicolás Maduro. And then the White House said that
not even the New York Times is buying what Machado is selling. This is from 3 days ago. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado faces criticism that she is exaggerating threats posed by Venezuela's leaders to justify U.S. force to overthrow him. I have no doubt that Nicolás Maduro, Jorge Rodriguez, and many others are masterminds of a system that has rigged elections in many countries, including the U.S., Ms. Machado told Bloomberg News, referring to Venezuela's president and the head of its National Assembly. Yeah, not only are they actually shipping metric tons of fentanyl into the United States of America, they're also rigging the American elections. Mr. Trump followed over the weekend by amplifying unproven assertions that Venezuela interfered in the 2020 election. I hate how stupid American politics is, by the way. That you could just you can just be like, Venezuela is doing white genocide in South Africa and also rigged the 2020 election so big, beautiful President Donald Trump lost. And Donald Trump will be like, that's true. This is the truest thing that anyone has ever said. We have to destroy Caracas. Ms. Machado and other opposition leaders have also argued that Mr. Maduro simultaneously heads 2 different drug trafficking organizations threatening U.S. national security. The particularly sought to link Mr. Maduro to both groups. The Trump administration has designated those groups, Tren de Agua and the Cartel de los Soles, as terrorist organizations. Trump officials have also claimed that the United States was in a state of armed conflict with narco-terrorist drug cartels to legitimize the strikes on 21 boats, which have killed at least 83 people since September. But the administration's own intelligence agencies, experts on Latin America's drug trade, and other Venezuelan opposition figures have rejected the idea that Mr. Maduro wields control over two groups or is weaponizing them against the United States. While experts agree that figures in the Venezuelan military have been involved in drug smuggling, some doubt these organizations are even transnational drug cartels. JCS chairman and Trump's top advisor, Dan Kane, is on a tour of the region right now. He started the task force base in Puerto Rico. He then met with the president of Trinidad and Tobago. Exit is visiting the Dominican Republic today to strengthen security cooperation. Can this even be called manufacturing consent? It's too stupid. I think at this stage, because Americans are so invested in whatever the fuck's going on in their immediate lives, they don't even care about this shit, is my point. They will care if American troops are invading Venezuela militarily, like on the ground, and then returning home in body bags, okay? At that point, some people will start getting mad. But most people are against this. The overwhelming majority are against this. But it doesn't fucking matter. That's the overwhelming majority are against giving weapons or any money to Israel, and it doesn't matter. We are at a stage at this point where you don't even need to manufacture consent anymore, because people have just completely checked out of the process. Yeah, you can just kind of do whatever the fuck you want if you're America, and even Americans are just not going to mount a significant opposition. I saw some TikTok comments making fun of Maduro. The U.S. military has him dancing for his life. Yeah, I know. That's the reality of the matter. Also, is that yes, Maduro is very weak and completely unable to stop a land invasion or any sort of fucking violence that America might bring about. So there is not really. It's just making the dumbest Americans feel strong, like a playground bully that identifies the most vulnerable, the weakest, to actively reassert their dominance over everybody else by dominating that person. That's what we're doing in Venezuela. People underestimate how popular he is in the countryside, especially there would literally be a massive civil war if they do a coup. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily matter to America, right? If there's a failed state there, that's still better. If there's a failed state in Venezuela, that's still with tremendous civil war, that's still better than fucking having Maduro control Venezuela. That's not true. The Venezuelan military is one of the only things that's been funded since Chavez. This isn't Iraq. There isn't enough troops in the region. No, I'm saying that let's say Maduro makes the calculation that it's better for Venezuelans not to just fucking die, okay, with airstrikes or whatever the fuck America is threatening to do, and he leaves the country. Then Machado is the one that is installed as a puppet state leader. This will be an incredibly far right government that is entirely invested in selling what remains of the natural resources of Venezuela to European and Western capital for pennies on the dollar, with none of those funds going back to redistributed policies. There will be a lot of anger and resentment from the remaining Chavistas. There will be a lot of anger and resentment towards this initiative, because at the end of the day, even if people hate Maduro, at least in my experience, from what I know with the failed coup that took place in Turkey, and from everything that I've read about how the domestic population responds to direct Western intervention, people are going to be very frustrated with the Machado administration. She will have a hard time securing all of the national forces to thwart whatever kind of instability that happens, and the country will be permanently destabilized. So even if there are Venezuelans right now that are like, I don't fucking know anymore, I hate Maduro, maybe American intervention is good, I think they will change their minds when America is dropping bombs on their heads. Not the Venezuelans that live in America right now, even though the Venezuelans that are living in America right now are very thankful for Donald Trump for offering them TPS, but now they've very quickly learned that they were simply a pawn in a political game, because now they are identified as a threat to the fucking state. just like the American Venezuelans, like the Venezuelans living in America, very quickly realized that Trump is just going to sell them out on a moment's notice to push for whatever kind of reactionary white nativist anti-immigrant sentiment that he wants to foment. The Venezuelans that are living in Venezuela still, that hate Maduro, will very quickly realize that maybe American domination isn't a better overall. At least that's usually what happens when countries actually get invaded. I'll give you an example from the opposing side. There are plenty, or were plenty, of people living in eastern Ukraine that identified as ethnic Russians, that found themselves to be Russian, that were sympathetic to Russia, that did not actually mind identifying as Russian. A lot of those attitudes shifted after Russia invaded eastern Ukraine. Apartment complexes, killed their parents, killed their grandparents. All of a sudden, they were no longer as pro-Russia as they used to be. That's just kind of how it goes. So just remember that. Especially, like, even amongst people that identify as ethnically Russian, for example, they have a very different opinion once the invasion is actually implemented. People always have buyer's remorse. Things that they think that they want, they very quickly find out they do not want at all once those things are implemented, and it's implemented in a very violent way. Yeah. Corina Machado, the far-right, the U.S.-backed Venezuelan coup leader who won the Nobel Peace Prize, promised a massive privatization if Trump can put her in power. She vowed to sell out $1.7 trillion of Venezuela's oil, gas, gold infrastructure to U.S. corporations. It's crazy that she's worse than Guaido. I don't even know how, but I feel like the Venezuelan opposition to Maduro has gotten way more overt. It's wild. Buyer's remorse for invasions is pretty high. Yeah, from the domestic population, yes. Yeah, Machado met with IMF, oil and investment groups last month. And she went to the America Business Forum as well, and basically talked about imminent invasion as a positive, and like sold it to American capitalists as like, this is going to be a fantastic business opportunity for you. These guys are not even hiding it anymore. It's like this is the type of shit that people like myself used to say, and then every liberal would turn around and go, isn't that a little conspiratorial, sweetie? Even with Juan Guaido, they used to say this shit. Liberals, whenever I said Guaido did not even take advantage of the legal, limited time frame that he had to actually assert any sort of control over Venezuelan politics, because he spent every waking moment petitioning Israel and America to literally militarily invade Venezuela. Liberals at the time would turn around and say, oh, how dare you say that? Well, Maduro's really bad. He's really violent. He's eating babies or whatever the fuck, right? Now they're just openly saying it. They're saying the quiet part out loud. This is the type of shit that leftists would say in their analysis, and then liberals and right-wingers would go, oh, why do you hate America? You're just making stuff up. You must be a conspiracy theorist. Meanwhile, because of the, I guess, enshittification of everything, even the manufacturing consent machine has enshittified, and they don't even have any sort of interest in hiding this kind of thing or taking a liberal stance, taking a more liberalized propaganda stance on why Venezuela must be invaded to like liberate the gay Venezuelans that Maduro is killing or some shit, you know?
And this is amazing, super exciting for me. We will open Venezuela for foreign investment. I am talking about a $1.7 trillion opportunity, not only in oil and gas, which is huge, and you know that the opportunities, because we will open all upstream, midstream, downstream to all companies, but also in mining.
This will help the Venezuelans for sure. You don't understand the Venezuelan population. You don't get it. Yeah. The Venezuelan population of Chevron, Exxon, Shell, British Petroleum, those are the Venezuelan constituents that Machado thinks about.
My God, this is more difficult than it should be. There we go.
Like, this is the type of shit that used to be discussed in cigar smoke-filled rooms, okay? In back rooms. This is the wheeling and dealing that used to take place in secretive back rooms, okay? Not at the American Business Forum where Joker face ass Nobel Peace Prize winner is just straight up saying, like, oh, please come. She's not even saying my people yearn for freedom at this point. She's literally saying my people yearn for privatization. I will sell it to you. I will give all of it to you. I will give you all the bounties of the natural resources of this wonderful country as long as you fucking murder a decent chunk of the population at my behest so you can install me as a public leader.
17 gigawatt opportunity of energy potential that needs to be rehabbed. Certainly for technology and AI and tourism. You know, Venezuela has 2,800 kilometers of pristine Caribbean coastline ready to be developed. So this is going to be huge. We will bring rule of law, we will open markets, we will have security for.
This is unironically like the reason why America was invested in the Batista regime in Cuba, no matter how cruel or no matter how awful it was for the Cuban population. She's basically saying, we're going to do the exact same thing here. Please install me as a public leader. It is fucking crazy.
For investment and a transparent massive privatization program that is waiting for.
U.S. government-funded Venezuelan coup leader Maria Corina Machado promises massive privatization and fire sale of $1.7 trillion of her country's assets at the American Business Forum in Miami, Florida. Donald Trump spoke after her at the same event. Isn't that fucking nuts? Are they maybe also interested in a future dispute with Guyana? I mean, that stuff is, that's just the icing on the cake, right? So, yeah, that's where we're at. And I'm sure Brett Stevens has a great take on this.
The anti-drug offensive that we have been seeing in the Caribbean. That this anti-drug offensive will begin on land. So that is certainly sending the message that
I guess at this point, I will say this over and over again, but at this point, the only thing we can rely on is the sheer and utter incompetence of the administration. Okay? The utter incompetence of this administration, comprised entirely of loyalists with no understanding of how these things are supposed to be conducted, will end up finding a way to fuck this up. So that's it. We cannot rely on a anti-imperialist, anti-war left flank here creating a major fuss about the peace president opening up a new front, right? That's not going to happen. Let's be fucking real. There are very few Democrats that have even said anything about this, and the top Democrats have only criticized the fact that Trump is not giving us enough information. We would be, willing to. We would be totally on board. We would be totally on board with the invasion of Venezuela if you just simply gave us all the information about what you're planning. Like, that's what they're pissed off about. So it's not happening, right? That shit's not happening. If you're relying on the Democrats here, good luck. However, the one thing that you can always bank on is that this administration is so fucking stupid and so fucking incompetent that they will find a way to ruin this, okay? They will mess this up.
Could be some kind of a military action within Venezuela itself. So how much of an escalation is this? I'm sorry? How much of an escalation? How much of an escalation? Well, it is enough of words and on paper, but we haven't seen an actual escalation.
Thankfully, we are supporting those Democrats so they don't destroy our amazing agenda. The left flank is too busy supporting Jeffries. Yes, you're right. Zoran Mamdani is personally responsible for this. You are so correct, Chatter. Your eyes are on the prize here. You got it. Okay? You got it. You got it. Zoran is personally also excited at the prospect of bombing Venezuela, and he's doing it. And I think we should be yelling at Zoran at this moment. No, you're right. I'm glad that you've identified exactly who is at fault here. Okay?
All right.
You're right.
We got.
And you should.
two chess keys, 550 supplies, some leather, some more, and we lost 3 John Vikings for doing it. Not the best odds, but I was starting to get drowsy.
I'm Venezuela, and I don't like the idea of selling my country to the U.S., but what would actually be an actual way to fix the current situation? Maduro's an actual dictator. The last couple elections have been clearly rigged, and the amount of misery the country is facing is clearly something that is to be dealt with. I don't know how to argue against intervention of my right-wing family members. I mean, a big chunk of the fucking economic issues, aside from Maduro's incompetence, directly is because the United States of America has designed it openly. They've said that they wanted to make the Venezuelan economy stream, and they did with their sanctions regime.
Look why I was so rudely interrupted. I thought the album The 2000s are back. That's right. The government and Wall Street has heard that y'all out there have felt very panicked about the situation around you. So we want to envelop you in a loving, comforting arms of nostalgia, which is why we've returned you to the 2000s. And we kicked it off big this week with a CIA asset from Afghanistan starting a false flag attack.
Just wait and see if I can put in a fish in a post. See, maybe we can put in a hunting place tomorrow. Just wanna get the guns away, so we don't always have to slow so many.
Today we're going to be taking a look at a YouTuber named James Lee. He's been on YouTube for about 5 years. She has 140,000
if you do not buy it down, but again, time it won't get again until they recover.
The Israel connection to the DC National Guard ambush. And being that this channel is about critical thinking,
That's gotta be loading sooner, right? Loading sooner, freezing up.
We're going to begin by letting him add some context to help anyone get up to speed who's not.
There it goes.
An Afghan national named Rabinullah
Just took a little shake in the jar to get it going.
ambush attack that killed one National Guard member and wounded another just blocks away from the White House on Wednesday, says the Department of Homeland Security. According to Jeff Carroll, the executive assistant chief of the D.C. Metro Police Department, the suspect was subdued at the scene of the shooting and taken into custody by National Guard members and law enforcement officers. Interestingly, Carroll said the suspect appeared to be a quote, lone gunman that raised the firearm and ambushed these members of the National Guard as they patrolled near a mass transit station in downtown D.C.
Okay, so he did a great job setting the stage. Now we're going to see him present his first piece of evidence. This is something that a lot of people are talking about on the internet. It is Google Trends. Let's take a look.
A horrific incident, in my opinion, whichever way you look at it, regardless of your politics. But there are some very interesting and peculiar things the mainstream media doesn't want us talking about. Per my research, on November 20th, which is just 6 days prior to the attack, Google search terms showed a small but documented and noticeable aberration in searches basketball originating from the DC metro area. I then zoomed in to look at more closely the search activity for just the day of the attack, and I was absolutely shocked, just floored by what I saw. Because look at that. There is a massive spike in searches for Lockball in the wee hours of the morning of November 26th. Once again, that is the day of the attack. A spike, I might add, that completely dwarfs even the number of searches after the news of the shooting broke later that afternoon.
Now, we want to explore these ideas honestly. The data is a great bulk of evidence. And if we're being honest, this appears very strange. This is a giant red flag. He is correct in his assessment of what this data would represent. The problem is there's evidence and data showing what we'd expect to see in that Google Trends result based on the timeline. But this is where James does one better.
As soon as we can, we'll get his, and then we'll get the brewery set up.
But instead, actual
And
research.
that, crap.
Here's a screen recording that I took just to make sure the evidence is preserved.
which, by the way, has already been wiped by Google. Of course, the question still remains: why would there have been people searching for this guy's name a week prior to the attack, and then another massive spike in the early morning hours the day of the attack? That strikes me as very strange. Another very strange thing is 4 days prior, someone, probably multiple, most likely, in the state of Israel, was searching for the name Sarah Beckstrom, the National Guard soldier who tragically lost her life during the November 26th attack in
In
D.C.
that case, we will
So
save
when we
it
take a look at this case that James is making, it's very compelling. James
after
is
Abel
able to
wakes
find
up. We will
extraordinary
save
traits
here,
from also the
and I
victim
think
and
we'll
all
go to the
prior to
sign
the
off
attack.
portion.
Now, let's take a second to better
I
understand
do
who these
appreciate
friends
everybody who
stand
watched, and if you watch this song,
So
please
let's
give it a
go
like
ahead
and a
and start.
subscribe.
And what
It's
we
thanks
see
to
here in
viewers
this
like
case
you
is
that
a
we are
scale that
capable
goes
of
from
doing
0
this
to 100.
channel.
And so
And
we
for
can see on
that,
November
I
26th
thank you.
at 12:48 a.m.,
Give
we
us
see
just
that
a
it was
minute to
at
sign
100.
off
Now, that does
properly.
not mean 100 Google
First, that was
searches.
not
What
supposed
they're
to
trying
hit.
to show
This
here
was
is
better
a
than this.
relative scale. And
We're
so
almost
if
ready to
we were to
upgrade
interpret
to
this
more.
data correctly, this would mean that there were an incredible amount of Google searches happening in Washington at 12:48 a.m. Again,
So we got
13
Wiggy.
hours
We
before the
got
event
these
took
two.
place. But it also
We
would
get
mean
into
that
some
more
of
searches
stuff.
happened before the
Where
event
is
took
up
place.
the
So
menu?
to generate that amount of traffic would involve just a lot of people. And that would also mean that so many people would be involved
Alrighty, y'all.
in this event. So
We
right
got
out of the
that
gate,
done.
there's flaws in
21
this
hours,
estimation.
8 minutes
Not
later.
only that,
Pretty
but
good, I
Google
think.
Trends isn't the most accurate place for information. Here we can see if you search for the dark branded cartoon topic in the last 7 days over all the United States, Death Flags, Nebraska has 100, Connecticut is 40. Who knew it was so big in Nebraska, right? When we continue and we search over the past 5 years, there's zero interest over time. There's no results for that. I mean, I know the haters are celebrating that one. But here we can see the interest by sub-region is Utah. So, again, very vague, ambiguous information. The next search here we see is the
Alrighty,
last
y'all.
7
I very
days.
much
This is for
appreciate
search for a
y'all.
dark branding cartoon. And here we can
There
see
we
it peaked
go.
at
Back
100
up.
at November 28th at 11 p.m.
I very
But
much
it's not
appreciate y'all's
represented by
viewership.
any sub-region.
And we
So
will
again,
see you on the
I don't
next
know
one.
how
Possibly
accurate
sometime
this
tomorrow
information
morning.
is, or
Possibly
whether
not,
we should
because
be
I'm going to
using
try to
it to
just get straight
make
to the
a call
woodworking
to
tomorrow.
flames.
But we
Now,
will
I do
do a
want to
live stream at
acknowledge
some
what
point,
James said
and
is
I will
true.
get some
Yeah,
shorts
you try
loaded
searching
up
the
at some point
suspect's
as
name,
well.
no results come
I
up. So
appreciate
I
y'all
would
very
agree it's
much,
very
and
strange, but
thank you
I
for
think
your
the most
viewership.
plausible
We will
explanation for
see you
this
on the
would be
next one,
it's probably
and
just a screw up on
bye for
Google's
now,
side
y'all.
and they don't want to have to explain it. I don't know. I mean, that's really it. We don't know.